Don't make a sound all around. Silence is everywhere, fills in the clouds. There is a way across the time. The future is coming up, forgetting the past. I had to dream. I had to forget about these things, about broken hearts that is beating so fast all the time when it rains. I want to fly, just higher and higher out of sight. The wind blows out there and we're going forever to Wonderland. Just feel empty, darkness all around. Feel lost nowhere, I'm supposed to be. I feel sorrow, as if I'm lost alone. I'm always turning around, if you should call. You know I will surrender, 'cause I can't be hard to turn around. Now when it comes to you, and they say time is a healer, when I was just so still and now I go on to forgive you. Hello. I don't know if anyone is here yet, but I'm just going to get started anyway on the rottenly profound discussions. Just watching that, and you saw that woman there dancing and singing with her spoon. That is the meaning of life. That is the meing of life. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. People take me wrong. I'm saying it's an example of what is happening. It's a perfect. I remember a song that came out. I think the lyrics were like dance like no one's watching, sing like no one's listening. I don't know. It was like a Christian song or something. And I think it went mainstream. Maybe it crossed over into Christian. I don't know, but it was in that time in my life. And I can't do that. I do not have the ability to do that. And so that's always something I found very interesting about the friends I have in the world who do have the ability at 40 years old to make a fool of themselves. And I make a fool of myself. I'm not saying that I don't do that, but I can't do it with that type of awareness. And that's what I see. And so that leads me to start thinking about what is that? What does that even mean? Having an awareness of self, the bigger picture, the meaning of life, or the meaning of life, as I've now coined it, because we are beings. We are not human beings. Nobody is being. They're being everything and being nothing. To be or not to be. That is the question. It's a me. Nobody. Hello, Ulick. Hey. No one is. Everyone is a meing. We have a whole world of look at me's. Why do I have a world of look at me's? And I see other times in our lives where we're look at me's, where we have this behavior en masse. Where the large collective has a meing type, look at me, that's mine, me. Do you like my new shirt? Do you like my hair? Do you not like it? That happens when we're kids. That's another time that happens en masse. So when I'm looking out at a sea of worlds and I see all of these people who are in fact me, look at me, as a group, as a huge bunch of us, the majority at large. The last time I looked around and saw a majority at large screaming for me to look at them, I was a kid. So I have to assume there's a micro macro level there. Something's going on. And there's a couple of people watching, if I haven't mentioned. Please share out the stream as we're trying to build up the interested peep for those who are interested in interesting things. Welcome to the interesting club. Maybe that's what I can call it. Yeah. So I was just talking with my very good friend, whom I love and adore very much. And
we were having these discussions about the bigger scheme. And I started thinking of some things. And I want the math, the equation that is human. So recently, since that thought popped in my head, obviously confirmation bias in a way. Thank you for sharing that out, guys. I appreciate that. So somewhat confirmation bias in the sense that recently my eye holes have been absorbing some, the world around me and some of the things that I get listening to and interested in and researching in because I'm just curious like that. It all suddenly, like a thought like that will pop in my head, and all of a sudden everything I've been listening to and watching and learning about suddenly makes sense. Now I kind of understand a bit. I feel like I've understood a concept in an AP class level, like I'm in AP math now, AP English. Now I know what it's like. I can understand those kids in school, whereas when I was in school I couldn't. I thought I don't even understand why you want to be in an AP class. That sounds like more work to me. But then I realized something, that to these people, it isn't work. It's a natural thing. It's something that was wired in them. They just understand these complex situations at a much younger point than, say, anyone else. And for some reason, they just have some kind of supernatural, genetic, weird savant type experience with that particular topic or that particular concept. And although I understood all these things, I'm in no way saying I was stupid. I was a very smart kid as well, but I wasn't interested in taking why would I torture myself? That seems really silly. I was more interested in just the regular old classes where I could excel without too much work, I suppose. I did have to study and stuff. Don't make my trip down memory lane make you think that I'm not exaggerating a little bit. I was a smart kid, but I was in no way, an A+ student. Okay. I was very much a C student, I did get a scholarship. So I did graduate from high school with honors, but I had to really work for that. And only because this brand new program came out in the state I was in. We had just got the lottery, and the lottery was giving out scholarships to any buffoon that could have a GPA over something. And here's me thinking, well, that sounds like a challenge. Could I pull myself up from a 3.0 to a 3.8? I think I could. And I did, my last year in school. And so I earned one of these scholarships. But that takes work. And I was first married to a guy who did not have to work. He was, honor student, never missed a day of school. I don't know if he did that, but those type of nerds. He was a math major, liked numbers, statistician by trait now. And it would make me mad that for some reason he just didn't struggle in school. He didn't even have to try. He didn't have to study. He used to make me so mad in college. So I'd be like, fuck. How do you just ace the history exam? I don't understand. You were watching basketball games. I mean, you weren't even, did you even open the book? And I had to bust my ass to get, an A. And I started to think about that back then, and he had like just an ability to memorize things and just get it, because he didn't have to. Me though, I couldn't accept things the way they were. So I had to challenge everything in itself. I was constantly challenging my own thoughts about things. And that made understanding math take me much longer, because I wasn't just content with an X. I wanted to know why they put an X there, and why is that 2? Why are we dividing this by 2? I'm not sure. We just are. But why? Why did the mathematician want figure out that it was a 2? That was what was always holding me up, that right there. Why a 2? And not one math teacher in my entire life sat down with me and explained to me. And so I continued to just question stuff. Why a 2? I don't know why a 2. And so the same thing with everything, I wanted to know more. I wasn't content turning on the radio, wanted to know how the radio worked. And because of that, it gave me, I'm going to sound, I understand what I'm saying. It gave me this edge, because I had an intellect that was a little bit different than somebody that just turned on the radio. There's some reasons why, know thyself. My dad was always opening up stuff. My dad was one of those people. He was, loved how, ran machines, fixed machines, works machines. He's a printer. Which is just another really rad dot to why I am the way I am. Something small. The universe, if you will, handed me, because it said printing, my love. Printing is a dot. Printing is the answer here. And I got something really cool. And so I had a dad that took apart everything, especially if it broke. So he wanted to take apart the TV. He wanted to take apart the radio. He wanted to take apart the grill. He wanted to take apart the car. My dad didn't work on cars, I will say this, but he could change oil. He could maintain it, but he wasn't a grease monkey in that. But other things, and like that, printing is a different kind of mechanism. It's not a motor as such. It's these small little hinges and parts and gears that work together. It's a work of art in itself, if you understand it. And for some reason, my dad could just see that, My husband's very much the same way when it comes to cars. Somehow they can see all of that working. I couldn't see it. I had to open it up. I had to have somebody else explain it to me. I was curious about such things. So I think that when you have somebody who externally is showing you, hey, you know what you can do when things you wonder about, you just open them up. Even if he couldn't fix it, it didn't even matter if my dad, that's the point. He was throwing it away. It didn't work. The tape recorder was broken. The radio was broken. It fell and it broke in half. It's not a matter of just, oiling or tightening a screw here. This is a major catastrophe is happening. And he would take every part of that thing apart before he threw it away. It'd just be full bits of wires and tiny pieces. He doesn't remember doing any of these things, but I do. And so he taught me a lesson in his own curiosity, in something that interested him. He taught me the lesson that in life, when something doesn't make sense, or when you just are curious about it, something seems broken or off, it's sounding a little wonky, open it up. Look inside, take a peek, see how it's run, find all its little mechanisms. Everything leads to another thing. And when all of these things are connected properly, you have music. And if for some reason they aren't, you don't. You can't see it. There's no light. There's no television. You can't hear it. There's no phone. There's no radio. Well, that's what's happening to me right now. And so this next video I'm going to share is going to point to that. Now, this showed up this morning. I'm not saying I recommend this channel to anyone, but it's things like this. It's things like this that just make me wonder why the meing. Why look at me? Why that? That's the only behavior I can think to put on it right now. Is that is a childlike look at me type behavior. I'm not even gonna thumb it up because I don't like it. You know, even I'll support a channel because they give me interesting things to think about. And that's the only reason that I'm actually subscribed to this channel. But the thing is that this is so out in left field that I don't even know what the fuck I'm listening to. So we're gonna listen to this and break down some behavior thought here.
Dear Simon, sometimes I see astral spiders most of the time in the morning, but I also see them when I wake up at night, and they hang above my head like on a wire. The spider at night is also bigger. I also see smoke shadows and normal shadows. Do you know what this all means?
Lots and lots of psychic people are now seeing these spiders. Generally, they're reported as running up the wall just as you wake up.
First thing he says is a lot of psychic people, so people claiming to have psychic abilities, are seeing these spiders when they're in between zone. For crying out loud, right there, should scream. Think about it. Open this box for a minute. How could shadow spiders as an idea really be real? How could we have this in real life happening to people who are saying that they're psychic? And this seems to be a phenomenon. I see the spiders too, for crying out loud. This happens. There's terms for it in science community. They call it visual snow. And if you unpack that little book, you find these little shadow clumps, these little things that happen in your eyes when you're in a darker area. You can see things that aren't there. And you can look at all the simulations you want, and you can say, well, I don't see that. That doesn't mean that that's not what's happening to you. It's just that what shadows you see, your brain, because it didn't put it on that, it's not looking at it from that perspective. It's looking at it from a confirmation bias perspective. Somebody who's reading and doing all of these things. You put spider on it. You heard spider somewhere and you identified, you're right, it's a spider. And I'm going to show you later in this video where, in fact, this woman says exactly that. She says, I thought it was tentacles, but now I know it's a spider. She's explaining the science. She's saying that when my confirmation bias was all about squids and tentacles, which was popular for a while, if you remember, now it's spiders. Now I'm understanding spiders. And she even talks about the lizard people. So now, why would a lot of people who are claiming to have psychic abilities be seeing these shadowy expressions in the twilight? Well, something happens through trauma that has effects on the body. And this is one of the side effects. Now, I can say that it's a side effect due to the traumas I've experienced in my life, whether it be abuse of some sort or etc. And this is a scientific physical reaction the body has done. Or I can go into the land of make-believe and I can decide that that isn't what it is, that it's ghosts or spirits or spiders. or tentacles or things. I have two choices to go here. And since I like to live in the world of reality of opening the box, because it's not enough. I don't have faith. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't have that in my, do you have faith? Hello,
No.
you like,
Hello.
I don't have the ability to have faith, to believe in something. I don't have the belief gene, if you will. So to believe in something, that sounds ridiculous. There has to be a reason. Maybe the reason, I just don't know what it is yet.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what the argument me and you have. One argument debate.
Yeah, this is where this thought came from for this stream, the inspiration. Go ahead.
Well, I'm saying we're being led.
Thanks,
But the
Mr.
more-
D.
But the more I listen to you, hey, Mr. D, the more I listen to you, I think we are being just going along as children would normally do.
Mm.
We're being left alone to our own devices.
Just like God left man to give you free will, left alone, hands off.
And it's the spoiled bastard. That spoiled bastard has got to float to the top. He's well, that's the most.
Bingo, 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 bingo. That is exactly what has happened. The shit has floated to the top and we're climbing on board of it. We're going for a swim across the pond.
But I'm arguing now,
Okay.
well,
That's the most profound and beautiful
that's-
thing I've ever heard you say. You just said my theory in 2 sentences.
but you know that. But I can't explain it. Like, I mean, why the fuck are people listening to that shite there about spiders? There, right? No,
Yes.
but you know what I mean? And can't comprehend what you're fucking trying to explain.
Because they're 11, because they're 9 still.
I know, I understand that. But why, what's so special about, we can't see that? Like, I mean, what, we just let it go on. So we just, am I expected just to let that continue? Like, there's no way, you know what I mean?
I'm saying, okay, so if I was to mix this up into a way of explaining this spiritually or through the hokey pokey of spiders.
Yeah.
Okay, what this lady's group, her group of friends. So if
Mhm.
you don't know anything about these people, let me explain something that they would understand the meaning of life in their terms, in their language. Then I can do it in Christian language and science language, right? So in this spiritual hoo-ha language, what I am telling them is that they're growing up. They call that becoming an ascended being. They're 12th ascended Arcturian from the planet Mars. That's how they talk, okay? They believe that they're evolving through the astrological, the reincarnation book. That's all this group.
Mhm.
And that's what they call growing up. What I call growing up, they call ascending. That's their language. In Christianity, what I call growing up is becoming an angel. It's dying and going to heaven. You're on a higher level. In school, it's called university. Do you see what
But
I'm
these
saying?
people that understand that, then, right?
Okay.
Yeah, okay, you know what I mean? They're there giving.
Hey,
Well,
Lace.
hey, Lace. When I see these debating fucking, like these gurus or whatever, and they're sitting. Well, when I say they're sitting, they're preaching.
You're telling me their dream is my dream.
Yeah, well,
Is that what you're
well,
saying?
they're telling me that they've hidden fucking knowledge.
Right.
You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right.
Like they're special.
This is the hidden knowledge. They don't even know where it is. That's what
But
we were saying this
yeah,
morning.
well, let's just say, like, I mean, it's like a fucking book club. I keep on asking, is that a book club you're in?
Mhm.
That I'm missing out? Because
Knowledge
I've fucking
book
been
club.
arguing about the one book for I don't know how long. Well, let's say the Bible, or
Right, I
or the
know, the
Quran, or
BIB.
any of the fucking things.
The bib. Do you see the reference? The bib lie.
Yeah, well, that's all the fucking. Yeah, well, that's the
drool
joy
on
of
the
it.
bib
We're all
lie.
going to go in there to the Bible lie and talk about the Bible lie and all that shit.
Go ahead. Keep
Yeah, well, that's what
going.
we've been doing, right?
A baby. I'm just
But
saying
when I
that showed
see-
up in our baby stage with the bib.
Last
That's all.
night again, I heard again, and I copped onto something my fucking self.
Okay.
I says, when I found out the Protestants, the reason why Protestants were given special treatment or whatever was because they were given the Bible for the first time. Everyone had the fucking Bible now. It wasn't just the elite that prick up on the pulpit telling you what the book says, right? Now you have a book and you can say, hey, whoa, it doesn't say that there. Where are you saying that you're putting your fucking representation? So they give you one Bible now that we can, the King James Bible, to keep on saying, oh, no, there's a book before that. Hang on. The Torah fucking, you know what I mean? And I keep hearing this shit. So all of it is bumpkin. You know what I mean? They can't even argue. They can't even say, right, we have the one book and we'll all fucking...
No, it's a lot of books. Do
no,
you know what...
but come here.
Okay.
We'll get someone to write it like a child. So a child fucking... Now, this is what I understood even with the Irish thing. I was watching two old men last night talking about the Irish Constitution and what it was put in for.
Interesting.
It wasn't for fucking put in there for lawyers to argue about. Right? It's for me and you. And if we didn't understand it, me and you, it was wrote for. Not for fucking lawyers to go and debate for fucking centuries. He meant that when he wrote that.
Right? I getcha.
Right? It's so that fucking daughter of yours or that fucking muppet sitting on the fucking floor down and begging on the fucking knows exactly who it's fucking for.
Right.
It wouldn't be there. That's what it's for. It's not for
beautiful
interpretations.
Yeah.
Right? It's if you can't understand it, it shouldn't be there. That's what it was wrote for. So all this thing, Bibles, all that shite, it's wrote for fucking you. And if you can't understand it, it doesn't work. You don't need some fucking guru to fucking tell you, right? That's why they're all muppets arguing about a fucking child's book. Bigger fool, them. And I agree with you totally. They are children, but they can't fucking see it.
Right.
They don't understand it. Now, the more mature ones that do understand, well, even if they do understand it, they are the MEings, the ones who are taking over the fucking the asylum, right? They're the greedy ones. You know, oh, I can get that fucking idiot to do this for me.
Yeah, but
I think he's taking money off him, and that's the fool us. That's what we don't see. How simple it is. I'm asking you, do we realise that that's going on? I think we do. There's someone actually doing that on purpose that they know that the majority of people
right. You see the opposite of what I...
Well, I think it
and
is.
that's always been something. Eventually you'll see. Or I'll see yours. See, I'm not even saying I'm right. I would love to find out that there's some secret book.
Yeah.
That they do know. And for all these centuries, they've chosen not to share that with us. I'd love to know that. But even in the meaning of life, so even in developmental, by the time they tell me that, they could just have figured it out and told me it was known all along. Because that sounds a very narcissistic thing to do. Well, I knew the whole time. Like they want to tell us that they've gotten this knowledge, this tech from aliens. That's ridiculous, right? You have the ability to make it. You tell me you do in one article, and then you tell me that you don't in another. I believe there's somewhere in the middle. So for you to tell me that it came from some ancient text or some aliens dropped down out of space and gave it to you, I don't believe that. That sounds ridiculous. How could anyone believe that? And yet there's millions of people. But anyway, going back to, let's look at that, because a normal human behavior.
No. Well, a normal human behavior is you have a school teacher preaching all this shit.
Well, hang on, let me tell you what I was going to say.
I want to know human behavior.
Let me tell you what I was going to say first before you go, because I think you're skipping ahead of me.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. What people do, so we'll take Lord of the Flies, like we were talking about this morning. We'll take Survivor, for those of you that might have watched that show, the very first episode. What happens naturally is that when there's a chaotic experience, people are looking for somebody that knows what's going on. Now, whoever the first fucker is that says, I know what's going on, they all run over to him. Now, you have a choice, you have a risk. You either have an idiot that doesn't know what's going on, but he's going to say he does because he likes either the attention or whatever, right? He's a narcissist within, and he'll lie to you no matter what. And I think we're walking in circles. He knows you've been walking in circles and he chose not to tell you. Do you see what I mean? Or you have somebody who actually knows what's going on and says, hey, okay, I know how to build a fire. And then that kid steps up, that one kid out of the group that knows how to build a fire, that one becomes the first leader. Do you see what I mean?
Well, that one already has a
That's
fucking
a
fire built.
normal behavior.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
So when we have these greats, these
Who?
people that
Musk, Gates.
no,
Who are you talking about?
I was about to say, these philosophers and people who these human behavioralists, these scientists, these people. I'm not talking about businessmen. I'm not talking about. They're different.
know,
They're
I
not
know.
scientists. They're greedy. They're fake scientists. They put scientists and get a PhD in something and claim things that aren't true. That's narcissistic. I know how to build fire. You can't. I know where we're going, and we walk in circles. You don't know where we're going. I'm going back to the guy that knew how to build a fire, the scientist, right? These people can't find the pattern. They're not putting it together, but we all leap on them because they can make fire.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You see, well, that's what I'm saying. False prophets.
But they can not
False
really,
fucking.
not really, because
What?
because I can make fire. That doesn't make me a good leader. It's you that
No,
put
but
all of that on
what
top
I'm
of
saying,
me.
yeah, but I was saying
I
this to
can
you
just
earlier,
build
right?
a fire. That's all I can do.
I'm saying
You're
this
the
to
one
you
that told
earlier.
me I was a god.
Well, we're out of fucking sync here, right?
Okay,
Well,
go.
well, I was saying to you, fucking, they want to play fucking soldiers, cowboys, and fucking Indians, and you want to play fucking House and Barbie and that, right?
Okay.
I don't want to fucking do. I don't want to play football even, right? I'm not one of them. Okay, that's what I'm saying. That's the way
I get
it's
ya.
evolved, fucking, and there's no one there. That's been manipulated.
But
Right,
that's
that's what
the
I'm saying.
fringe dwelling. That's where you're in the middle, where you're neither rubbed in this direction or rubbed in that direction. So we skate on the edge. We're never. We're
I'm
on
not
a
that business
tightrope
class,
in a
I'm not- I'm
sense,
not
because
that-
I'm not wobbling over here.
I'm not that
wobbling over
corporation
there,
class.
right?
I'm not that exclusive class that will say, right, you can sell sweets, and yeah, that's where it's gone. It's not fucking.
Right.
It's a more mature fucking child that's taken over the schoolyard. Just.
Do you think?
Well, if you're telling me 1 second that these don't know that it's the same, it's children looking after children, robbing children, right, or treating them the way they should be fucking treated. If you're telling me earlier that we weren't, it's going to come in sync at some stage that we will all line up at 18. You know what I mean?
We will, but we'll already be in the middle of a cycle anyway. That's just generational cycles of the ebb and flow, right? So by the time we recognize we're 18, and
where are we going to be?
We're going to be a lot different thinking. We probably won't recognize we're 18. When you were 18, I ask you, or anybody who's listening, when you were 18, did you think I'm 18? Did you think about what your life was going to do? Or were you thinking, I'm 18, it's my birthday, let's have a beer? You weren't sitting down and thinking about all the behaviors you were going to have. You
had
weren't
my life over me at that stage.
That's my point. So when humanity makes it to 18, they're not going to be doing it there either. No different than they're not looking at being 13 today.
Yeah, I get it.
It isn't until we're here. It isn't until we hit our elderlyhood, do you see?
Yeah.
The last quarter that we actually have a sense of self. I remember 18, and you're right. I never thought about it like that. I think about it now. I saw a lot of things happen to me at the year 18. I got married, or I went off the war, or I joined this, or I went to college. You made a major choice at that stage in your life, something that determined literally the rest of your life from that point on. That's your first huge step in the world.
You weren't.
But you weren't
thinking about that.
Of course
you weren't
not.
mature enough.
You were jumping in
the
pond and not even thinking about the leeches.
Right. That's what I'm saying to you.
Right. So we won't do it in the bigger scheme of things either.
You're convinced of that.
I'm convinced of that. That's the hell realms that
the
spiritualists.
I heard you saying about a fucking skip generation. Right? Why was the skip a generation and skip them all? Have that little generation before as I said to you, I'd hold them back a generation. I wouldn't jump them on a generation.
Right? Well, the skip goes backwards. That's a skip. That's 2 steps back for 1 step forward. That's 2 back for the
That's
1
2
step.
generations you're talking about.
Yes.
Well,
because what that ripple does. So imagine a leap year is a very good example. I call it a hiccup in my theory, but in a leap year, it kind of balances. You lose, you know, or gain a day, right? But you're one for 4 years. One for, do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's only a small amount for what seemingly adds up to a lot, right? And so in a generational hiccup, you're going to have that same thing when this crash happens, whatever it is, being astrological or man-made, because both are equally as imprintable on generations, and combinations of, which is what I think is happening now. These larger moments where we actually, you know, I like to think of it as if you're
Well, can
you
see
take
it
a step and all of a sudden the earth just shifts back for you, and you do actually take a time travel back in time. And even though it's 2024, you're basically back at 1960.
What you're saying, we're maturing towards that, yeah. As
a whole generation back.
As one word, we're maturing into that, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can see it as a, you know what I mean, what we grew up on and we were reading in books about, you know what I mean, third world and all that fucking type of thing. Where the world's it's a much smaller place now than what we fucking, our perception was of when we were growing up. And the world has grew up along with that. Like, I mean, it's not that so long ago when we were fucking living in black and white. You know what I mean? Like, the world was seen in fucking black and white terms. Just
100 years.
Yeah.
At this point. So, it's been and think about that, Dot. 100 years since we walked into the cartoon book. Now, remember, in cartoons and in the even Gumby, they go from one into another. They step into the book, the fairy tale book, and it becomes color. Think Roger Rabbit like that. So a lot of those, well, another good one is, what is that song by Aha? I'll be gone. You know what I mean. Anyway, these visuals is what I'm talking about, where it's a real thing, and then it turns into a cartoon thing. Alice in Wonderland, Dorothy, and it becomes color. That's the better example. The Wizard of Oz. Well, it's black and white, and then when she goes into the in-between zone, she goes into the storybook, it becomes color. That's what we did when we went from a black and white world to a color world. It's like stepping into the cartoon yourself. Now ever since we've had color like this, not visual, but through artificial means, we stepped through a book.
Well, we're maturing. I'm just saying, like, I mean, we're doing this. It's more mature now. We can't do that. That was uncivilized what we were doing. Right? Nothing got to do with fucking. I'm saying now, look, our fucking. That's what I'm saying. The difference between that isn't it's
maybe it is.
No, I'm saying it's not. It's not. But instead of fucking Genghis Khan, instead of Genghis fucking Khan doing the fucking thing and kings and fucking queens running around, you've oligarchs now running around. That's what I'm saying.
No, I don't.
It's a different fucking.
I don't even have that anymore. You know, we're over King of the Hill. Now I've got nerds running the school. I've got the kids that were picked on and bullies because they were weird and different. The freaks are running the circus now. This isn't Barnum and Bailey anymore. These people are fucked up. They're mentally ill. You said it earlier. They're the shit. They're literally, what if you left a bunch of kids alone with no supervision and nothing?
Well,
what do you think they would end up looking like?
If you have well, them 3 kids were allowed to run, and they were brought over here.
Right.
Them 3 fat kids I was told you.
Okay.
I told you about, yeah. It was triplets that they had. It wasn't twins that they were interested. It was triplets.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, they killed off one of them because they realised, well, he was the run to the fucking litter. He hadn't got that hunger.
He was smaller. So
well,
in utero, he didn't get the hunger. Yeah, interesting. Dominant twin syndrome.
You put well, you have that tree, but they went off and were bred for purpose.
Okay.
And they all met back over here in America, just for example. And now you have what you have. Because they've been doing it for 100 years. They had their children 100 years ago. They're called Juggerbond or something, whatever. Well, you could call them the Hitler Youth or whatever, just say. if you want to put a name on it. And Dave came now. Their children have, right, what was being left for by them is now matured into that now, right? That's what I'm saying. That 100 years of that has been brought forward now. So you have that now in your WEF, right? That's
Right.
that's the master
But
plan.
isn't that what they're I mean, to
Well,
me, that's
to
what all
me,
the
that's what I'm
prepper
saying.
stuff is about. The prepper stuff is a expression of this step back in time we're going to do, where for a little while, ice age,
Is it? What?
solar storm. I don't know. I
Mhm.
don't know everything. I only know this. But if for a minute, and this is going to be, and I'll tell you how this shows up for us.
Mhm.
Why this trans, same thing with trans youth. What is an adolescent body? What are you experiencing there? You've little suddenly nothing makes sense.
Mhm.
And you have no control over your body. You're falling for every Tom, Dick, or Harry that flirts with you.
That's you now.
No, I'm talking about your adolescent stage. Trust me, boys will go shit for a girl that flirts with them.
Older boys.
Teenage boys.
Hang on.
Mhm.
Not remember what we said earlier?
Mhm.
Girls seem to mature younger.
Right.
Right? So you haven't got a running alongside. Remember, if the boys are the same age, they're running around like little. It's the power of the V now you're talking about. You're the one who's in power. That female side is manipulating now because she knows what she has.
Well, that goes along with your astrology.
Well,
I mean, that is what you're describing. So in that church, this is what they call
does the little boy fall for that though? Is he falling for that at that age? I don't think so. Because there's no interest in it at that age.
Well, that church that you're talking about, that's where we're seeing later. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then that's the I think some of the thing we're having with women wanting to take over, isn't that an expression of the flip? Men wanting to be women suddenly? I'm not saying that what I'm saying is that the idea that we have of leaving our mother altogether at 18, the ultimate goal of our adolescence is to leave our mother. Oftentimes we follow in our father's footsteps. Yeah. The idea is to not be your mother, right? If that's the goal at the end of it, and I go through a period where I'm walking away from her and I'm exploring the world, and these tiny micro expressions are happening in large scale. So you get people wanting to transgender themselves into women suddenly, because this is in therapy, they would say this is an external expression of an internal problem you're having.
So for the first time ever,
it's on mass scale. We're seeing this oozing out. This is how it's doing.
For what?
So to me, that's evolution. That's evolution. That's the genetic code evolving, where survival of the fittest. Some people expressed as I need to become male. That's how that genetic code was unlocking itself, and they might not make it. They might not make it to the next round, right? This is where we start losing Neanderthals and these people. Do you see what I'm saying? We are not human anymore. Everyone agrees with that. I totally agree with that. That's not a belief. I agree that's the case. Mm-hmm. We are not the same genetic makeup that we were. And so we are about to be reclassified. And during our reclassification, a lot of things are branching off during this evolutionary step that the Lucy. We're in the Lucy. Everybody says, we got to find a Lucy Neanderthal, the missing link. We are actually experiencing the missing link. It happens like this.
Mm-hmm. Look, well, I don't know. I don't know, but I agree with you. You were asking me earlier, how the fuck? I don't know why I get it.
That's so interesting. Yes, I don't know either.
You know what I mean? I get what you were talking about. You give me answers to questions that I ask, and I don't get it from any fucking one else. You know what I mean?
I can.
That's to say, I can see why But I do think they're more mature, these people, and I give them credit. That's what I say. I argue with you.
Okay, let me say something about that. I had a
give
thought.
them too much credit for.
I think you do. Well, let me put it in this term, because this is what made me think of. Let's just, for argument's sake, say we're in school. Okay, that's the matrix we're in. We're in school, and there's a group of kids who have a key to a janitor's closet with all the AP books in it. They're the only ones allowed to read those books. A higher education book, a college-bound book, we'll say.
What's that mean? They have the answers? Just
no, they don't have the answers.
But
that's the thing.
You know
okay, I'll put it a different way.
If you give
they
an
have
answer,
a closet.
I can give
on.
you a.
I got you. Hang on.
Go move on forward.
I got a closet,
right.
And in this closet, they have a geometry book. Now, this is an elementary school where you're not taught geometry.
Right.
Okay. Or algebra, rather. They have an algebra book.
Right.
Or trigonometry book, we'll say.
I don't even know what it
right,
means,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's how high up the book it is. You don't even know it exists. They're in an elementary school.
Trigonometry.
And they have a trigonometry book locked away in a closet, janitor's closet.
Okay.
So some kids have been going in there and not playing chess. Instead, they've been reading this book about trigonometry. And then they come back in the classroom and show you tricks.
Right.
And they know how to build things. They know Pythagorean's theorem, and they can build something, a mason maybe. Do you see what I'm saying? And then suddenly we go, oh, there must be a God. They're the smartest kid in school. This is the smartest kid in school. No one of us knew how to do that.
Whoa,
and he's not smarter than you.
No.
He's read a book.
But they're after coming out. They forgot how they weren't in class that day. They forgot how to tie their shoelaces, right? And they tripped up going down the fucking stairs and banged their fucking head, and that's the end of them, right? You know what I mean? So they overcompensate for one thing.
That's the they're trying to tell you that janitor closet has hidden knowledge in it and keep you away from it.
That's what I'm saying. Now we've caught up to the fucking thing.
It's a silly idea.
You're no more fucking clever than me.
No, because I got in.
I understand that.
Well, I picked the lock to their stupid janitor's closet.
Now with, I just have all the fucking information and all that. What the fuck are you going to do about it?
Right.
There's nothing you can fucking do about it. So what? Big fucking deal. You know what I mean? That's you're snookered. That's what I'm telling you now. Is that not where we're at? So fucking what? You're gonna have greedy bastards forever. We're gonna poison your kids and make them sick and make them work to make themselves pretend that they're unsick for the rest of their lives. How does that grab you?
Mm-hmm.
You happy with that?
Doesn't that just mean that I understand processes more than you? Just because I do it just means that I understand them. In other words, I know how to control you. Something inside me, I can't even tell you how it happened, but something inside me made me capable of predicting your behavior. And because I can do that, I'm sorry, I can't help it. I am a snake and I bite people. So therefore, I manipulate you into giving me candy, your turkey leg. Why are you mad at me? Do you see what I'm saying?
I know.
I'm going back to the caveman, the big grunty caveman who goes and pushes everybody over and nobody likes him. And then me, I come in and I say, hey, if I could get everyone to give you a leg.
So I am asking you then.
Would you share them with me?
We are always going to miss the boat. Boat's already gone.
The boat's left. That's the chess game. They've won. Yeah. They've left the table. They're playing a totally different game than we are.
But you're saying that's by design. It's not anyone else doing it. It's just by design.
It's just math. I'll show you something interesting outside the spider. We'll go to something else. Hang on a minute. Because this was something else I wanted to share.
I just thought if I could kill someone, that'd be the end of it's gone away, yeah?
This right here.
Is that not what we're all thinking of? Hello?
Huh?
Is that not what we're all thinking of? Fuck all them clowns there thinking that they fucking know any better than me. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Right.
He's going to tell you what spiders are doing this and
no, this guy isn't going to talk about spiders. This guy is going to talk about the sacred math. He's going to talk about math that equals a human body. That
Right.
by design, we were destined to look like this. The
Right.
equations equal.
Okay.
Always 4.
And to think like this?
So
Is
that
going to give us the equation to think like this?
so the next evolution is the next. So we've had this answer. Man, I got
Yeah.
an answer.
Yeah.
Now, let's do the next problem. So now I take man, M-A-N, and I start breaking him down. And I
Uh-huh.
get a new answer. All math.
Yeah.
And this guy's talking about how the mathematics of the human shape
Mhm.
and triangles. Do you
I
see
have a
what I'm
triangle. Yeah, well,
saying?
here we go. He's
Yeah.
using computers, but that's...
No, this is a different video. This is
Yeah,
a
but
mathematician here at a science note
we'll be filled
conference.
up with triangles.
He's just going to show you how.
Right,
Do you
go
see
on.
what I'm
Let
saying?
me see,
Maybe
let me
you
see
don't
what he's gonna
understand
say.
what I'm
Well,
trying to say
Try
here.
it, try it.
I'm saying that humans in general, our behaviors to the way we look are all mathematical problems.
We'll just fill in triangles.
And we are only going to evolve as those problems then equal another number.
That's what a computer would
And that
do.
includes our behaviors, which means that on a micro and a macro level, my behaviors of humanity match and mimic my physical behaviors as
If
man.
only it was that simple.
That is how simple it is. That is
No,
the
I don't
meaning of
believe it.
life.
So you're telling me they can replicate? Is that simple then?
Absolutely, they've
That's what
already
they're
done
trying
that.
to. No. If it was that fucking simple, they would be doing it, right?
They are doing it. That's
No.
what we're doing. Just the fact that this
The
computer
thought of doing
or
that is
these
driving
cameras
them.
can see me is giving them everything they need in a future where they can replicate it. It's only a matter of numbers before I equal the same. Yes.
That's what you think.
Yes.
That's what you'd like to think, and that's what's
Only
driving.
a matter of
That's
numbers
what's driving this
before
fucking
I
idiots
equal
forward.
the same. I don't know. I don't even know if there's anybody that's interested in that kind
They
of
are.
idea.
That's what all this genome.
Maybe there's
That's what do you think all this genome fucking shite that they're on about is all about?
open AI.
That's what's driving that, yeah.
Mm.
That's what's driving all that. Them fucking idiots arguing about
We're
that.
giving
we
them
can
the
do that.
answers to the
They
problems.
can't do it.
We're the answer key.
They can't do it. Why did you think they're any this?
Why do you
different
think
now?
they can't?
Because
What
it'd
makes
be
you think
done.
they can't?
We'd be already here talking to ourselves and telling it, yes, you can do it, right?
We are doing it. That's this. That is what we're doing.
That's only giving you candy.
No,
That's
you have
not-
no. Then
that's
I have
not-
to debate on that. I would debate you on that.
Oh, come on.
You
What?
have to know
The
that this.
computer? That's
If I want to create a false reality, and I want it to be as real as possible, this is where
That's
the
dumbing
idea
you-
of the Matrix
that
even
is-
comes
that's
from.
dumbing you down, though, in your evolution, right? That's letting you.
It's doing that to
That's
you.
making
Okay,
you
then
lazy.
here we go. I'll
That's
tell
slowing
you.
you
Then
down.
that's the
That's-
vampirism that is happening.
Mhm.
Is it is sucking your information out. It's leaving you brain dead slug, like a brain slug.
Mhm.
It's rotting you. It's taking everything that is
Not
you
you,
right out of
us.
you.
Us, not
What
you.
you look
us,
like, what you
everything.
sound like, how you react, what your micro expressions are, what the pupil dilation of your eye is when you see
So,
a pornographic image, and which of these pornographic images give you the biggest dilation. Do you not understand what Pornhub was for? I mean, not you, but the world you. All of these things are ploys to get you to show me yourself. Show yourself. You put a camera on that lady dancing and singing.
so you can lock yourself up. Is that what you're trying to say? Because I told you that's all they could do is put you in
It's too
fucking...
late. Everyone is already on the drug.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm channeling the devil now. You've got to realize that you lost this war already. You lost it. I'm sorry, humans, but you're out. Okay, you didn't catch on quite quick enough. But now you got Joni Rotten, and she's telling you how you can catch up quick enough so that some of you maybe can start thinking like an 18-year-old and stop them at their act.
Mhm.
Because see, now what they're doing is they're thinking a grade ahead of you.
Just what I'm asking you. I've been asking you that. They're thinking they already are great ahead of you. You're saying they're not. I'm saying they are.
Right.
They must be. For
But they're
fuck's sake.
still in the same school. Do you see what I'm saying? They're only reading that book. You can still beat them.
I don't know.
They haven't left school yet. You can still defeat them, but you can't defeat them in this war. This is when
Exactly.
you've
Well,
lost
that's what I'm saying
already.
about. I'll be waiting for everyone. Like that's what I'm saying. When I'm waiting, just to say, can you not see all of this 400 years ago? You know what I mean? That's what I ask. He's going to let the same thing happen again now, and another fucking again.
Yes, you will.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Humans will
all
do
your
it
fucking idiots,
again.
so-called
They
fucking
will do
know-alls
this
are going to
again.
let it happen again.
Yes. It's done. It's already happened. I'm looking
it's
in the
happening.
future. It's happening.
Hang on, it's happening. I'd say it's happening. You're convinced. I'm not going to stop. I'm not saying, oh, it's happening.
It is.
No, I don't. I think
It's happening, and because it is happening, it's happened. That's how it works.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, you can't stop the train.
Yeah, but the outcome, you don't know the outcome.
And I want the wreck.
Hang on, you don't know the outcome.
I do.
You
actually.
don't. How do you know the outcome?
Because I know complex math.
And
the outcome will be only a small
trust the science.
Number of things. No. I can predict the future. I'm Nostradamus.
Yeah.
And I know that there's only so many outcomes. There's always one off. That's where we get Jesus from. A one off. Right? The idea of a superhero. I get it.
But you have to keep on doing the
But
same.
I can just keep selling people superheroes and they won't recognize.
Hang on a second. You keep on giving me what they've done before and what they will do. Right? And they keep on doing it. Yeah, I agree with you. But there is other choices as well. I keep on telling you. They keep on telling you there's only two choices. Like, they keep on doing this. There's your choice there. You're only allowed in or out. You don't have to play the game at all. That's what I'm saying. Like, all the time, all these things that we're fucking being told. You come up against it and you'll say you're either right or wrong.
That's why they put
and
the market
I'm not even
the
fucking,
walls.
I'm not even, that doesn't even, the question doesn't even enter my head what you're talking about. It was like them guys, I was asked a question the other night, and I said, wow, you're putting me on an either or spot. How does none grab you? You didn't think of that one, did you?
Yeah.
But I thought you were. And that, it confused me when I said it first, but it was the perfect fucking answer. Confusing. Because when people think it has to be a yes or no answer, I heard a guy even fucking saying about what he was talking about. In a lie, even. There's even some truth.
Always.
Right?
The lie is just the opposite of truth. So it's got truth in it.
No, but what are you telling me? You know what I mean? Like, I have to go to fucking read Bibles and you know what I mean, to learn what a fucking lie is. Doesn't matter how it's a lie. If it's a lie, it's a fucking lie. It doesn't matter how it's a lie. You know what I mean? Don't start trying to fucking confuse me on that one. You know what I mean? But that's all they will try to do.
Yes, but here's the
when is a lie not a fucking lie?
So what makes
when is a lie not a lie?
Hang on.
When
I know when it's not a lie. I got an answers teacher.
When
it's magic. Because then it's an assumption. I'm not responsible for assumptions.
It's always going to be a lie.
You get an A in business class, little Joni.
It's always going to be a lie.
Deniability.
But even to try it, attempt. Come on out to the tent here, and I'll show you how to make a lie sound like the truth.
Hold on. Yeah.
So.
Well, I think it's fun to think like the devil.
Well, I'm not the devil, but fuck the devil.
Maybe she really did go down. The devil in itself is just evil, right?
Yeah.
Thinking evil. And evil is really just pulling one over on someone. It's not very nice to do, right? We all agree that anybody being fooled, as my dad used to tell me, a fool is the worst insult you could give a man, right? More than anything, more than racist.
Might be the most dangerous. Is that what you mean?
It's the cruelest of them all. So to call someone a fool, you must really be sure they are. That's how I always took it. And I think there's a lot of fools on the planet. In fact, it's packed full of them. And they believe in things like astro spiders and stuff and sucking your, that's crazy. Let me play this video. I want to show this video here.
I don't like. So who's seen Fast and Furious 7? It's playing in tube again. Not that many people seen it. It's probably not that good. But did you notice that one of the main actors, Paul Walker, well, he died during the filming of it, and they had to replace his face throughout a good chunk of the movie. It cost over $50 million. And this idea of replacing people's faces has become really commonplace in movies. And it really became famous with the work of The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, where Brad Pitt played this character of all kinds of different ages. Now, this has become so routine that you may not even notice it. You can watch Fast and Furious 7 and not know that the face has been replaced. Now, when it comes to human bodies, the rest of the body, the story's a little bit different. Here's World War Z, and there are a whole bunch of artificial bodies here. They're partly automatically and partly hand animated, and you see them in a big crowd scene, so you never get to look at them too closely. The other time we see bodies in the movies is when they're actually creatures like the lizard here, so they're not very human-like, or when they are human-like, they're like Spider-Man. Now, probably many of you saw Gravity, and it was a really spectacular movie, and the effects were amazing. It was a largely animated movie, except for the faces. And there was this fantastic scene of Sandra Bullock floating weightless in this capsule. And for sure, this must have been computer graphics, right? She's floating weightless in outer space. It wasn't, actually. It was amazing acting and body control. She sits on a bicycle seat with one leg harnessed in, and she moves as though she's weightless. Now, why didn't they just replace her body? Like, they're replacing faces all the time. Wouldn't it have just been easy to simulate her body? Well, they didn't do it. They simulated everything else in the scene you're seeing is purely CG, except for Sandra Bullock herself. And I think the reason for that is the human body is actually pretty complex. We have about 600 muscles, a couple hundred bones, a couple hundred joints, and a wide variety of different kinds of joints. We're also very, how should I say, soft and jiggly. And so we all jiggle. And our shape changes throughout the day, even depending on what you had for dinner tonight. Your shape may be a little bit different. So our goal is to actually build digital humans that look like this, or even better than this, that wiggle and jiggle and move just like real people do. These are purely synthetic. And they don't exist yet in the movie. So I'm going to tell you how The Secret Life of Triangles will get us there. So you may not realize it, but all of these things you see in the movies are basically made of triangles, big triangulated meshes, almost everything. And so how do we deal with that? What can a triangle do that can produce body shapes? Well, the first thing to think about, triangles can't do a whole lot. Let's take a single triangle on this template mesh, this mesh here. What we can do is we can move it in space. That's 3 numbers. We can translate it in X, Y, and Z. We can rotate it around the 3 axes. That's 3 more numbers. We can scale it. That's a single number, a uniform scale. And we can shear it in a plane, and that's another 2 numbers. So that's a total of 9 numbers to describe everything you can possibly think of doing to a single triangle in 3 dimensions. Now, if I take this entire mesh and I apply just the right 9 numbers to each triangle, I can deform them and translate them and squish them and stretch them to form a new body. So that would be, that's what we've done here, transformed all the triangles in the blue ones and turned them into red ones. Now, if we want to represent the whole body, we use about 15,000 triangles. If you can apply 9 numbers to each of the triangles, that means there's about 135,000 numbers to describe the body shape of a person. Now, most of the settings of those 135,000 numbers don't correspond to people. They just choose the random 135,000 numbers. I guarantee you're not going to get the shape of a person. You're not going to get the shape of anything. So the question is, how do we tame these triangles? And that is, how do we characterize the settings of those 135,000 numbers that give me human bodies, just human bodies, doing things that human bodies do? So the idea here is we're just going to collect a whole lot of examples of human bodies, thousands and thousands of people. We all have different body shapes and quite a huge variety of body shapes. We're also going to collect thousands of poses, people of all sorts of ages and sizes and genders and nationalities, and doing all kinds of bending and stretching and everything the human body can do. And we do that using a special system that at Max Planck, and it's called a 4D body scanner. And maybe you can see here, there's some little scanning pods. Each of these has 2 stereo cameras and a color camera. There's some also fancy lights around. And here's the 22 cameras, the color cameras shown on the left, and the 2 grayscale cameras in each scanning pod. So there's 66 cameras looking at a person, and some speckle projectors shooting out into the scene to put texture onto the body.
That's all he's got there.
We were just
if he's put all triangles together, right?
Yeah.
That's all he's put there. That's all he's got. Is that thing on the jumping up and down, right? That's what you're saying. All them triangles have given him that blob jumping up and down on the screen there. Now he has to impose everything different about what makes a human. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
what that video is saying is that making a human, even though they tell you it's very complex, it just did it.
All I've seen there is a blob jumping up.
We're
and
not
down
that unique.
on
What
the
I'm
screen.
saying, well, no, and I made a joke about I'm God and I've just done a math equation and a human popped out, and I go, Lucifer, that's you, Ulick. You, Lucifer.
Uh-huh.
Look at my thing I just made. Look how cool it is. I just did this math problem. Look at the answer, and you're not impressed. You're not impressed with my human right there. Is that? And then you're the kid that comes over, you know, I hate your stupid tower, and smashes it with his fist. That's the story of God and the devil, right?
Well, it's not
Childhood form. Yes, it is. I hate your Lego tower. I kicked it over.
What's he trying to do there? I'm not saying there's something wrong with that. He's not trying to tell me it's a human being there. He's had to recreate it on that screen there. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No, he's trying to tell you that the human body is just math numbers. It's just an equation. That's all you are.
Well, if that's all he's...
And I can put you into a computer and recreate that equation. Just like I was saying. Mm-hmm. So that makes you
he's telling me
predictable in your behaviors.
I
can replicate you in your behaviors.
He's telling me that, yeah?
Yes.
They'd love to do that, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
they would love to do that. But they can't be that sure of it, though. They can't guarantee
that,
can they?
Because there's always an off. There's always an exception to the rule. That's where you get quantum mechanics and chaos theory showing up for you.
Where do you start off? You start off at the beginning, right? You always start off at the beginning, not the end. They're telling you at the end.
No,
the beginning, the random
always start with the answer and work backwards.
No,
How do I get
he's giving you? He's giving you his answer. So I'm just telling you at the start, I've already thought outside the box before he's even thought of that. And that's what he doesn't allow for. Has he allowed for that?
I don't know. I disagree with you, though.
Well, I'm telling you now, there's always that +1, right? And beat that one, +1. They'll always come up with a fucking answer, and this is the most... They're still always wrong. They can't be sure. They can't replicate.
How did humans learn about friction and fire?
How? They've probably seen it rather than listen to some fucking...
But how did they learn they could recreate it through friction? How did they put that together?
I don't know. Wasn't there?
Right.
I
know. I'm pulling something. I slide on the ground. I grab my ass. Ow, it's hot.
Yeah.
Oh, that fire. Ow, it's hot. I put 2 and 2 together. If something rubs against something and it gets hot, then if I rub something against something, can I make it hot enough to do that? That's
I can I can walk through that door. I can walk through that door and make it open through that thing. You've seen that one on Fargo, and she can't open the doors herself with the electric fucking thing.
Right.
Have you allowed for that? In your random, you know what I mean? Like, there's chaos always there going to show up no matter what. There's nothing that is twins.
But that's what makes science so much fun. It's finding the one thing that throws off the pattern, right? Because everything's a pattern, and it's only finding the one off that throws off the pattern. And that's what I want to look at. As a scientist, that's what I'm interested in. Why does that happen? Now I need to study that.
So you can replicate it.
Right. Let's say we're patterning along, and all of a sudden there's an ice age. Right? That's out of my control. I didn't see that coming. Right? I didn't know that was going to take 300 years. Okay. But that pattern's there now. Check. Right?
Right, go back onto your man here now and let me hear what he's going to say. I know I was boring you there, but
no,
I just don't take any of these.
I know you don't find this as interesting as I do, but I think it's because you complicate it a little bit more.
Maybe I do. I just...
maybe you're overthinking it in a way. Think like a child. Don't think like an adult man. Think like a kid. Question as a kid would. You know what I'm saying? Think like that now. I'll play.
Body, and then a stereo system actually computes the shape of the person. This is done at 60 frames a second, and so if you look, you see fat moving. It's quite nice and mobile. This guy's fantastic. It looks almost, these are professional models, by the way. They're highly paid professionals. Don't try this at home. But look at these meshes. They're a little bit noisy. They actually have many more triangles than what I told you. We don't want this many triangles. And every triangle is in a different place. So what we need to do before we can try to analyze body shape, we have to bring them all into correspondence. And we do that by taking a template mesh, this mesh with about 15,000 triangles, and deforming it, changing the orientation of the parts, taking this pink thing and deforming it until it looks like the blue thing, which is the scan, until they look alike. And you may be able to see, some of you, that the pink thing is of lower resolution than the blue thing. Now we do that for all of the people with the same template, putting them all into alignment. This is something we call 4-cap, which is like motion capture or mocap. And what you're seeing here is the mesh aligned with all of these raw scans I was showing you, and it should look like it's sort of stuck on the body. So now we have the nose of every single person corresponds to exactly the same triangle. A triangle on the belly button of one person has the same is the same triangle on the belly button of every other person. Once we have that, we can start doing statistics. So we've got thousands of bodies, thousands of poses, all in correspondence with one mesh. And now we have 135,000 numbers for all of them. So we have thousands of these scans, 135,000 numbers per scan. We can start to do statistics. And what we do is we actually split up the kinds of deformations that can happen to the body into several different causes. The main ones being your identity. We all have different body shapes. Your pose, which has a couple of components, the rigid rotation of the body parts and the soft tissue deformation that goes along with that, muscle bulging, for example.
Things. Okay, I want to pause for a minute because there's a few things he said. First of all, if you remembered when he was showing the fat man jumping up and down and everybody giggles, right? That's exactly what children do. Do you see? And these are adults. And then you asked me where they came from. This is from Michael Black. He might be the speaker here, but this is The Secret Lives of Shapes or Triangles, the mathematics of the body. He's giving this is for like a science. This is a convention of some sort.
It's like an artist class, how to make a, what do you call that model?
Yes,
you know,
it is. It's Michelangelo.
Well, yeah.
Sacred math. You had to step out for a minute. But that's a very childhood behavior to do, to giggle at potty jokes. I saw that running rampant when the poop emoji thing was popular, when literally the entire world had some kind of obsession with poop in some way, even if it was just toys in the store and everybody wanted to buy them, and there's poop-shaped pillows, and the whole thing was so elementary school. It just reminded me of, like, I'd say pretty much first grade and 6 years old. It's a very 6-year-old behavior, because that's the things, if you're ever around a 6-year-old, they think those things are very funny. They're not self-aware of their bodies yet. So body things don't have the same as when they get older and they become aware of, farting or whatever in public. At 6, they have no self-awareness of that. They're farting and it's funny no matter what. But then at 16, not so much the same. Of course, many boys that I know that were 16 still thought that was funny, but I think that's just a boy thing. But it's a very childish. And so you can see it even here. We can't help it as humans. Even we laugh. It's an ingrained behavior that is in the collective as we speak.
I'm being like I would be with you. If I was in, see this guy here? Yeah. I'm just being the same. If I was in his class and he was doing that, I get.
You would laugh. You would get a giggle out of it. Or
I know, well, I thought, no, it's not to show me there. It's only of the body shape, yeah? It's not, he's not going to turn around and tell you. And we can manipulate that now into the the brain as well. We can show you how it works.
Oh no, they don't want to tell you that they can do that yet. Although they do tell you they can do that because
Right.
we have lots of research coming out of that now. I think that this movement of making everybody sick to get them into the doctor, whether it was intentional or unintentional, it doesn't matter. It had an outcome. The outcome is everybody goes to the doctor. Now I get all your biometrics.
When I
Now
say,
I have all of your
when we
psychology.
heard that guy
I
talking,
needed your bodies. I got those. Now I need your mind.
so when we heard that guy talking about the AI and
Mm.
that other bloke talking about
Hey, Bobby.
triangles,
Okay.
was he talking about these triangles, or was he talking about brains triangles when he
I-
was on? You know what I mean? Was that what he was
Sure.
saying about the computing, that he was talking about triangles at the AI, rather than, yeah, that's fair enough. AI on a screen. I can replicate someone's body movements and all that now on the triangles on it. Yeah, excellent. And now I can use that science to go in and show you what the body is inside it. What it's,
But a
but
triangle
the
is
brain
a
and all that, how it
3D
functions
object.
and all that. Yeah, there's a lot of it that
So
can be.
a sphere is a 2D type object.
Mhm,
It's only got two dimensions, inside and outside.
mhm.
There's no curves on it, right? I'm guessing that's the thought there. Outside, inside of a sphere. Well, as a square, a triangle, three dimensions, 3 sides now. Then 4 sides with the square. 5 sides with an octagon. How many sides? I'm just thinking. I'm thinking out loud. I'm not saying any of that makes any sense other than
Well, when
to my
the-
own
with the
head.
new, this is where I get their transforming what they're doing with that genome therapy that they're at. And that's where I see all with the likes of DARPA and whatever. That's the frightening thing with their at, because the stuff that they're putting in there, yeah, they can rewrite your, well, not rewrite it, but just program it more so than, you know what I mean? If you're saying, if you can get a receptor, something, what they're trying to replicate, but I can't see how the body can do it. That's what they're go into the cell actually and let it. But then I don't know. They're waiting for the results back.
Well, this is
You know what I mean? That's
a
where they
great
are.
time for the scientists to really find people who are mutating well with the chemicals that are being spread. In other words, their bodies are advancing good, nicely, right? They're molting with it or melding with it or absorbing into it. They're together. These mutations are working well in their system.
I don't know. I don't.
They're either the ones I don't see at all or the ones that always come in with a good checkup. And anybody that comes in sick isn't evolving right. They're not evolving properly. And that's why they're getting sick. Survival of the fittest now. This is a large scale evolutionary step.
Well,
There's
it's
not going
fun.
to be
It's just funny at the moment
wars
when
here.
you see all the 100-year-old people nearly fucking. Well, you look like, what is Trump?
Mhm.
What age is he?
500. I'm not sure. Wasn't he an old king from Egypt or
I know,
something?
yeah. But the likes, well, he is the new emperor.
I think I've
isn't he?
seen some pictures of him in the Pharaohs
But they're going a long time,
exhibit.
these fuckers now. But when the new emperor shows up, what's he going to be like? Like, you have the likes of fucking, the ones that you're going to be shown as the new face of. Who's it? I haven't seen them yet. What's his name? Son. He's handed over to him. Is it Klaus Schwab's son? You see, we don't know. You know what I mean? They're there. They're actually doing it at the moment, and we don't even know them. They're just names.
Mm-hmm. Or just avatars of
You know
characters
what I mean?
in a play.
Musk is old now at this stage.
He's my age. Yeah, he's 50.
You know what I mean?
49, something like that. He's right around. I knew Musk's in school. I read what he's talked about. I listened to him when he described his childhood. I know why he's like he is. I knew hymns. I knew kids just like him. We all did. Well, this is what happens to them when they grow up and they get lots of money. They come back for revenge.
Well, Amazon. You know what I mean? He's the one out front. You have to look at. Do you know Jeff Bezos? Do you know?
What is Amazon as a metaphor anyway?
Amazing.
Right. Big, huge, vast. Uncharted. Wild. Full of beasts. The dark forest, maybe.
Are you thinking of the river?
Oh, the Amazon. Well, isn't the forest?
Well,
We have a river and a forest, and they're
we're
next
just
to each
gonna-
other,
We're just
I'm
going to
sure.
take everything out of.
I
the
don't
banks
know. I
and
don't have a
fucking
map.
put it down, yeah.
But I'm going to assume the Amazon River probably flows through the Amazon forest in the Amazon Valley. Am I wrong? Somebody correct me. I'd need a.
It is the longest river in South America. I think goes through Brazil.
Are
And
you
could
sure
be
it's
the
not in
longest one in the world?
denial?
Well, we've been living in denial for.
Maybe it's not the longest. You know, rivers would have been seen as a representative of snakes as well. Thinking of what symbols get put where.
Would you not have been seen as a symbol
Couldn't
of
I have
life?
used a snake as
How
a
far
symbol
can-
of a
How far
river?
can you get into a continent to strip it
Right.
of all its? You know what I mean? That's how far you can get. First, fuck all your fire and all that. Can't carry fire around. Which before you had your carrying your fire around, go up river,
Mm.
drinking water. You know what I mean? It's your source of water. We'd stay close to you. Never mind your snake.
Mm.
That would have been the first.
Mhm.
You'd have been following it down. So
Follow me
snake.
down to the river. Very interesting. I like the snake symbolism myself.
I don't. Well, it doesn't appeal to me.
I just think
Does the snake
humans
have
would
a-
be
does-
smart enough to think that this river, it snakes around. They would put these two things together, give it a symbol. Why not use Mother Nature
Oh,
itself?
you say it snakes around. I'd say it meanders around, or it's
We
you know what I
didn't
mean. You
have
say
meander
snake.
before we had language. Before we had language, the
You
only
just said
language
snake.
we had was the pointing at a thing. If I wanted to tell you that river was snaked around, I can't tell you
Shape
anything.
wise.
I could point at the river and point at the snake. And you might get it. You might go, that river? It's windy. You see? It's shaped like a snake. And I
Yeah,
might draw it
yeah.
on
You
the
draw.
ground with a stick. Mhm.
You wouldn't pull out a
But
snake.
I can't make a river. Do you see
You
what I'm
wouldn't pull out a snake and put him up into.
Oh, but I could point at a snake. I could be. What I'm saying is we have to think about how the first person does. You're silly. The first person stands there. You say to me, "What's this river like?"
Get me a snake and I'll show
This
you.
is a river. No, stop it. You're being silly now. And just at that moment, a snake slithers by on the grass. And I say, it's going to be like that. I see the snake slithering and I think to myself, like that. And I take a stick and I draw that wavy. The snake evoked an image of that river. And I use the snake as a symbol of a
That's
smaller
right.
way to explain the river. See what I mean? You're so good. Nobody's grabbing. Are you grabbing snakes out of trees?
Your class would be fun, yeah?
Don't you think my class is fun?
Yeah, you're bringing in snakes to show me.
It's a class, not a religion. It's not a church. It's not a church house. It's a schoolhouse. We learn things here. Oh, man. Well, let's see. Oh, an hour and a half. Any questions? I'll keep finding more ways to
I
just
feel like
share
it's
these.
really
I
what
did want to
listen
share
to.
the things, actually. The golden age. I wanted to.
Go away,
mimic
don't be
that.
listening to me. That's
Okay.
I'm only. I have only. I thought your mum was going to tell me something. What was she telling you? We're made up of triangles when we look at the television.
Right. That is what he's talking about the human body and how simple it,
See, get paid for
basically
that.
it is. Right.
Surely that's not his life's work.
He probably might do it, or he gets paid to go and talk about it. There's people who have jobs that go out and tell others about what's going on in laboratories around the world.
Surely he has a degree in
Oh,
Masonic
I don't.
Surely
know.
that's not his life's work. He's not.
Look, he's got a hidden hand, though. Look at that hand. That is clearly a Freemasonic hidden hand, 2-finger gesture there. Do you see it? Right. Exactly my point. Anyway, it is interesting. There, but
Thanks. I know. Yeah.
I'll share something else here.
So this is the eye, is it? He's talking about the eye and the spider. Is that a song?
No, that was the astrals. Now I'll go back to that one. Maybe I'll do a different one for the golden age myself, because it might be a long one by itself. I'll go back. Where is that video?
Is it the golden age or the gilded age?
The golden age. The astral. Okay, this is the most ridiculous things. This, just so you know, I told you what these things are saying. I even show a little visual there of it in the ceiling. Do you see it there? This is happening to them in between twilights. Then another woman's going to tell you that it's you just got to listen to it. Here's the thing. Oops. These people, they believe this stuff. This is them, okay? This is them and what they think is going on in the world. Now, see, there's only 5 of us in this room or whatever. There's thousands listening to these channels. Millions or thousands. If you put all of them together, you'd have millions of people listening to people talk about AI spiders, okay? As ridiculous as they're going to sound to us, these people believe this magic is real. They believe in this fairy. And instead of going and finding out what possibly could be going on in their lives, to give them these ideas and to have them seeing the things that they do, they convince others of their Kool-Aid of astro spiders. Do you see what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Instead of me ridiculing.
Right. No, they don't like that because you challenge their story.
Of course.
Right.
Of course.
But anyway, it is quite comical and informative, and I can stop it on the parts where the behavior is seen. So it's on this. I am subscribed, but like I had said, and I'm not even giving them, there's less thumbs up. But here's just the comment. And these spiders not only feed your loosh, right?
Loosh mean money?
No, this is some type of, it was in your Viking video game, your loosh, some type of essence or spirit soul.
Yeah, money or whatever.
Right. They as well control your mind. To do so, they sink their energy grip deep within you and focus your attention to the scripted illusion. If you resist the illusion, the more they increase their grip inside your conscious with their beliefs. So right here, this makes no sense, because if they're creating a scripted illusion, then they're creating their existence, in which case the more you resist their existence, the more they get inside of you, like a virus, like a germ, like a toxoplasmy. But if it's a scripted illusion, do you see what I'm saying? Then it's already written for you to believe in them in the first place.
Yeah.
So you have 2 choices: believe in them and their grip they have on you, or not believe in them and their grip is gone. So that's what's happening here.
Most of the time in the morning. But I also see them when I wake up at night, and they hang above my head like on a wire. The spider at night is also bigger. I also see smoke shadows and normal shadows. Do you know what this all means?
Lots and lots of psychic people are now seeing these spiders. Generally, they're reported as running up the wall just as you wake up. Occasionally, you might see a mouse, but it's not really a mouse. Also hanging from the ceiling, or actually on the ceiling.
That is visual impairment due to trauma to the body. There's a scientist's name for that.
A freckle in the eye.
Because I had trauma to my body, I see these things. You know, I often will see what I think I have peripheral vision issues. These are just common, normal things that happen to people who experience physical or emotional trauma. And they are identifying them as cosmic spiders. And because they've identified it, now it becomes a cosmic spider. So when they see it, they don't see this, they see a spider. Their brain will fill in the gaps, and it will create the very thing that they're looking for. And that is what they'll see every time. That's why somebody who sees a shadow would see this face or that face. It's where the mind gap, the mind fills in the gap for the parts it doesn't have answers to. It creates an astro spider.
Various people have described them either moving very naturally or very robotically, but in all instances, people report them moving very quickly. And when your human brain pattern changes, when you go from sleep, partial sleep, and then you wake up, these things can detect that. And what they're trying to do is get away as quickly as possible and not be identified. They take the shape of a spider, and because the arms of the spider are used to interfere with a number of processes. In other words, in the Doctor Who, one of the last, I've talked about it before, in the last Doctor Who films with John Pertwee, he has to regenerate, and he's battling some spiders. Now, these spiders are made to look very organic, but the reality is that they are meant to be AI, and they attach to people's backs. And I know from reasonably personal experience of people close to me that they've had AI spiders attached, and they use their arms to attach to the left and the right hemispheres of the brain. Now, if you're seeing spiders on the wall and the ceiling, please don't be alarmed in that sense. I think they're spying on you. Those people who are very psychic are seeing these things, which probably have always been there, but we're only seeing them in large numbers now because the human consciousness is evolving beyond these creatures' capability.
Okay, what were you saying?
Can I have a look at his face again?
He doesn't have a face. No,
I thought that was him there. I just seen a quick glimpse.
No, he's just doing pictures of stuff. But I found this, so then I'll share this. So this is a visual snow symptoms and can be very hard to describe, in the video attempts at some of the things that people see. So here's one where you have a static field, almost like, now these people will describe seeing I was saying it feels like I can see the air, the ether, like I can see the air. And so you have a static or snowing effect in your visions. Now, this is just an example of it, so people could see it in different ways. But I've definitely seen that. And that is just a body's a body's reaction to something that's happened to it at a different time in its life. This is how it shows up itself. So people in those worlds will describe being able to see auras around people, colors around people, static or the ether, ghosts. These are, so you see this? This is after images that linger very long. That creates ghosting, trailing. Do you see when you listen to these people talk? These are the things that they're seeing. It's just their confirmation bias is causing that. That makes everything look almost 3D when a ghosting happens in my vision. It's as if I'm looking. Do you see how it looks
so
like
you
you're
understand this, what's going on, and still fucking tell you that they're seeing spiders. They're talking shite.
They're talking shite. This
Exactly.
is what's happening.
This is what people won't tell these though.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
They won't listen to
Now
it because they think they're special.
Right.
I'm getting messages from Saint Spider.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it. I see auras and rings around people. That's what you're saying.
What do you call that? Impaired.
That's just an impaired night vision, which is common for a lot of people to get as they age anyway. Halos. Another thing about this too is that this is going on. This is happening worldwide. This is a developmental stages, I think. These are them pulsating vision. That's a fun one when the world is really
surely
shaky.
Our eyes are getting shittier with all that fucking technology that's been phones, for example. And
Okay.
everyone's fucking
This
got
is-
their heads
these are the
stuck in
ones
fucking
here, I think.
phones all day.
Well, don't you think that could be causing these damages?
That's what I'm
These-
saying to you,
it's
realistic.
not. They don't have to be traumatized. They can be poisoned. They could have been given fluoride. They could, you know, any of these things. There's your sprites and spirits people see.
Along with the shite that they're saying to you is drugs.
There's the flashes of lights people describe seeing. Just off to the visual corners of your eyes. And here is what she's describing as spiders. In that when it's dark, your eyes have this way of making this light. Now, mine sometimes looks like clouds like this, and sometimes looks like spiders or shadows or other things. This is what that lady's describing. She's not describing supernatural events. Do you see her? She's seeing those. This is a simulation they're showing here of what that simulation.
In many ways to cloak themselves. You know, that's why so many pedophiles have been discovered, because human consciousness is outwitting the evil people. They just cannot hide the truth from good people. And so you are seeing spiders which probably for generations have been there.
So the spiders are spying on you. And that's why we're now able to see the spiders. We're now able to see the pedos.
Should I go and hand myself in now, yeah?
I mean, do you see how silly these thoughts are these people have?
Well.
But this is what I'm up against.
I don't. Show me many views around this. And
well, this is all. He stole this off of someone else's channel. Okay, this is not him.
That's fair.
Deleted Truths is takes other people's stuff and puts it up here. Sometimes it's interesting. Sometimes it's ridiculous. Like
that
this.
there is fucking ridiculous. There's
right.
no one. There's no one looking at that.
But if I go to the original channel that this is on, which Deleted Truth never tells you, I don't think he never puts a link. But if you sometimes you can find a watermark or something, and I go to those channels, the thousands of people. We all know who these are. Come on. I'm serious.
There's no one.
You don't know that because you don't look in that room.
Yeah, but you're taking my.
I'm telling you, inside that room, it's packed full of people who think that spiders are in the astral world, in the ether, are spying on them.
No,
I know that.
They're not.
But they think
no, there's
yes,
not.
They
there's
do.
not. There's
yes,
not.
they do. Continue to listen. Hang
Bobby
on.
and Laced Up might be in that world. They might be doing it. They're the only two.
I don't know. Probably. So
don't tell me there's. Don't tell me there's more than 3 people in the world.
Maybe more.
All right. What I would suggest that you do is that you practice some protection before you go to bed at night. Think about an energy field around yourself. Think about if you're going to do astral traveling or out-of-body experiences, make sure that you do as much to protect yourself as you can. Clearly, if you have these entities around you, then they're interested in you.
These guys eat electromagnetic frequency. So they come into the auric sphere and they start chomping on your electromagnetism.
I bet you would.
This can be a human. This can be an animal. These guys infest everything. Just think of a spider infestation, and there you go.
She must piss herself fucking laugh.
There are some ways that they come in that are more common than not. For example, nighttime is a common time to find these creatures showing up in your electromagnetic field, maybe seeing them in your room, feeling them on your person. This is twofold. One reason is because obviously, like a lot of these entities and beings, we're more vulnerable at night, so we're easier pickings for them, right? We're not fully conscious, we're asleep, we don't know what's going on, so of course they're going to utilize that timing. The second reasoning is because when we're sleeping, obviously we're moving through different cycles of REM, and our brain waves are shifting through a gamut of frequential bandwidth. And these spiders consume electromagnetic frequency. So it's very fulfilling for them to have a variety of options when it comes to the range of
giving them a buffet to ask the spiders a buffet.
And so if these electromagnetic spiders hang around for your entire sleep cycle, they can access a wide range of frequency.
Hang on, I'll go back out of this. Why isn't she showing her boobs here? I haven't finished.
Because I haven't finished off. I'm sorry.
I haven't finished off the only reason why I want to watch that.
Right, I'll move the camera angle.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Why would anyone else want to watch?
I wanted to see. In her, she does believe. Now, this is what I hear. Okay, I hear a woman that has gone to a conference. She's gone to a conference that's told her that if she drinks this shake, it's going to make her slimmer. and give her a bigger bust line. She's gone home. She's filed for this pyramid scheme. She's bought a box of, and she's drinking this juice right now, and she's enjoying the way her body is looking. Now that is mostly psychosomatic. And so this woman does believe that this powder is in fact at this moment in time. Now she might not in 10 years and be very embarrassed that she ever fell for Jenga juice. But at this moment in time.
How old is that?
Do you see what I'm saying? That way you can chime in your thoughts.
Well, yeah.
Or do a little appetizer tasting, if you will. Now, this is why it may be more common for you to see, feel, even crawling on you, these spiders, or have a sense, you're clear knowing that they're coming in at nighttime. I would advise, if you can, not to panic. I know that can be a very annoying statement, right? And especially if you're somebody who panics when you see physical spiders and little creepy crawlers, this is going to be very difficult for you, because sometimes the affair seems and appears even more scary than
more interesting. What's this?
physical, right? Because there's a mysterious element to this. There's that piece of unknown and unsurety that we might second guess ourselves if this is what's happening or not. But when you spike the panic and the fear and the terror, that just gives them kind of a big boost of your loosh energy that they want to eat off, and more access to hook in even further. So maybe utilize some practical application here. You might feel yourself getting ramped up, but you can just tell yourself, practically speaking, it's safer for you to calm down and register. They can't kill you. You know, they're here to just start to siphon, right? So they're pests, they're annoying. There is a way to cleanse and clear them out.
There we go.
They contacted me again. There was an arachnid that contacted me before I left for Brazil.
Around the neck again.
And
look at this.
Remember I told you years ago why I stopped listening to Savaggio music online was because one time I was listening, to like this about, the Savaggio, like, the Savaggio like tunes or, like frequency videos. And then I woke up with an arachnid on my ceiling, like crawling upside down, and it freaked me the freak out. Like I freaked out, like she was crawling on the ceiling upside down. And I haven't ever, like, if you ever had any arachnophobia, this is one of those things you do not want to listen to. So I got to give you that and warn anyone who's coming in here too, because I don't want them to blame me for their nightmares and what I'm going to share, because this is a fact. Because she contacted me again here, and she contacted me with some of her offspring, and this isn't a good video. I have to share it with you because I have to give you a warning. But I don't want to share it because I didn't want to share it with you before I left for Brazil. I shared it with the Zombies because we talk at night and what have you. But this one is gonna bother you. So when I used to listen to Savaggio, I had that one incident with the arachnid, and it's a female, and she was on the ceiling when I woke up. And then I realized that some of the Savaggio frequencies online are embedded with frequencies that bring in certain types of beings. And I stopped listening to them totally. Like I didn't care whether it was just one or listen, if I see something like that show up and I know that I'm listening to this, I stopped. So I think many of you remember that. Some of you were part of my platform for a long time. You already know. Okay. So before I left for Brazil, and please give the warning. See, the MP3 is going to stop. The MP3 is going to try to stop me from giving you this message. Let me let you know that we're in a video game and they're going to try to stop me. But I got to tell you this because she came again last night and she came with her children, like her offspring. It's really creepy. So before I left for Brazil, she came. And this arachnid, Empress Queen, has taken credit for creating the World Wide Web. Listen, y'all, it's going to bug you out, literally. That's kind of like isn't that kind of bug you out? Go figure. I told you the insectilians are the ones responsible for a lot of things. Y'all didn't listen. That's why they demonize the reptiles, because reptiles eat bugs. Okay, I don't want to go off topic. So before I left, she was the one who she was the one who told me she took credit for creating the World Wide Web. And she's part of the AI system. It's like a synonymous thing. We think of AI as something more artificial or more mechanical or electric. No. This AI is sentient. A lot of the AI, not the AI that's created from man. I'm talking about the AI that was pure with creation. She took credit for creating the World Wide Web, y'all.
Do you hear what
the World Wide Web was created to catch
it must be the red glass.
humanity, mankind. It was meant to catch you in her web. Okay,
Kind of lace.
but
Not that thing.
it gets more.
You're
It gets nefarious,
Oh,
y'all.
the smaller one.
Yeah.
So
The other one has a little symbol on
That's
the next to
a
it.
Buddha symbol of
Is
some
it?
kind. Yeah.
The two of them are in that gang as well. Is that Saint Spider?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's what I. Lace's AI is bad news, but it's not a spider. It's this. See, when I joke and say that I'm channeling the devil right now,
Spider's the web.
she's channeling AI spider. See what I mean? That's what that woman believes. She's talking. See, I recognize, and I'm just thinking. She believes that she's having a conversation with a spider that is telling her, or an alien or a ghost, whatever these people do, and it's telling her that it created the internet. Now, she only has that from confirmation bias because, hey, Lace.
Good morning.
Hey, Lace.
She would only have that from confirmation bias based off of her age. She's grown up with the internet. And so the web crawler, internet, web, spider web, that's all been fed to her for the last 25 years.
She's a bag lady sitting outside fucking Kensington, fucking one of the stations there. And she's a bag of crack ready. That's what the phone never knows. That's crack. That's what that is.
On her chest, that's like.
Well, I can't believe that. There's no fucking way.
I'm telling you, it is.
Sorry, but I can't believe that this is real. And Joni believes that this is. There's thousands.
I believe
of people
this woman believes it's real. Yes, Lace.
Well, you guys come from a generation too. I do too. I come from a generation that was the computers were just being introduced. You know, I was a child when computers were being introduced. You guys, when you guys were children, it wasn't even. I don't even think computers were in households until 1980 something, right?
Mm-hmm. It was a transitional stage. We were moving into our teenage years, and you guys were moving into your school age years.
Yeah,
it's generation speak. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So we were going for adulthood. I didn't have the internet till college. I didn't have the internet at home. We didn't have computers in our houses. I remember home one he'd gotten for work, and he brought it home, and we played on it, but it didn't live at our house. It went back to work.
I remember my dad's first computer. My dad's first computer, and I remember like Windows 95 and all these little programs. Well, Commodore 64 was the first computer, but you couldn't really do much on it. But the first actual computer that they had, like the HP Hewlett Packard Windows 95, and oh my goodness, look at all this stuff we can do. I thought as a kid, this is bad. I used to think that the computer that my dad would go and do work on was bad. Why is my dad always here? He's distracted. Now he's always on this computer. Now we don't go fishing anymore. We don't do all this other stuff I did when I was younger. Now my dad's intertwined with all this electronic stuff, and it took off. Because every time there was an update, he was like, oh, I got to get the new computer. I got to get the new computer. I got to get the new update. And it's like, it just kept getting progressively worse. And now looking back at it, as I'm sitting here talking about it, that's when the times of my childhood became progressively worse. My dad became more violent. My dad became more of a drunk. My dad, he just wasn't as much of a father as he was into that computer.
Do you feel like you do some of that in your own life as a father now?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And I said that, like I said that earlier, like we all say we're not going to grow up to be our fathers. We're not going to grow up to be like our parents, but somehow, some way they come out of us in the future. Somehow, some way. I don't know. I don't get it. Cause I look at it all the time and I'm like, man, I said I was never going to do this.
Do you take your boys fishing?
I do in the summertime. I take my son fishing. I even take my daughter fishing. She likes it too. She doesn't hook the worm, but.
Oh, I like hooking the worms.
I was saying about these clowns here. This here is not fucking real. These people you would never meet in real world conditions if you hadn't got the internet.
No, that's why they have the internet.
Into cities, you would. If you went to certain places in this country, you would run into them. Zen lives in one of those. Sedona, Arizona is packed full of them. Mm-hmm. They live in pockets. That doesn't mean they don't exist. You should know that.
That's the thing too, is people think that it's territorial. It's not. There, even the territories where there's like, let's say you're in Trump country. Okay, we'll just say that where you're in Trump country.
I'm in Trump country. I can speak. Yes.
Right, but you're in Trump. Right, so you're in Trump country. But even in Trump country, there is maybe a handful of people who aren't. Just like you go into a Biden country, there's a handful of people who aren't Biden. You're gonna find that uneven thread. You're gonna find that in every piece of society. You're gonna find an uneven thread.
Sorry, Maddie, I'm just waiting for.
No, you're.
Well, I'm computers. No, I was actually talking earlier about the way we have let them loose on us. We shouldn't be. Are we ever going to be able to take them back off them?
Well, once our parents, like for example, like my dad. Once my dad started buying the computer and doing all the stuff, other parents were doing. People were doing it. They were buying the. Oh, this sells. This sells. We can do this. Everybody in the world gets a computer, and then we control them with this computer. And like that's just it goes with that way with everything. Look at TV. TV started before computer. That was the quickest way to get control of everybody, was put a TV in everybody's house. Convince everybody they need a TV in their house. You don't need a TV in your house.
Yeah, I do.
They made us believe we do.
Right.
I mean, in all technicality, we don't, but isn't it nice to have? They gave it to us, though.
They gave it to us, but we didn't have to take it.
Right.
We took it. And you can't get mad at another kid for giving another kid something.
Right.
We're equally
You
guilty.
gave my son a chocolate bar? Now
Right.
he's hyper all night?
Hey, of course I gave yours. I have a chocolate bar. He's my friend. I'm going to give him a chocolate bar.
So what is going to happen is you won't get the chocolate bar at all.
Right.
You'll get my chocolate bar. Chocolate bar.
Right. Right.
And
You don't get your own.
That's what's going to happen because it's spoiled.
Right.
That's
Well,
it's obvious.
What's that phrase with the rod and spoil the
Spoil
child?
spare the rod, spoil the child.
Yeah. Means no discipline, means the child's going to grow up to be disadvantaged. There's going to be a disadvantage to no discipline as a child.
Well, that's what we've gotten. That's what we were saying earlier in the stream. If you were to take humans and plop them on the planet and give them no parental intervention whatsoever,
You mean children? You mean children, like children being born and then at a certain age just let them do what they want? Or just...
I'm talking about the meaning of life that says that human beings popped up here, grown up humans that have the thought of a baby, and they're just basically left. I'm talking about creation. God left you to, that's the free will. There's no intervention. That's how that is accomplished. If I intervene, then you don't have free will.
This is the best there is. This is
No.
it.
So God doesn't intervene.
And that's why bad things happen to good people. They always say that all the time. Why do bad things happen to good people? Well, because we have free will. That's the biggest example of having free will, is bad things do happen to good people.
As a human being, it's my duty. It's the whole purpose of my life is to mature into a way that I can live in peace with others. That's it. So what stage in that process are we at?
It seems to be getting tougher and tougher.
But what stage in the process are we? I mean, if you were to look at humanity all around you and you were to think about it in the age of a child, what age do you see?
Right now, I see in the age of our world, the whole world as it sits, an angry 12-year-old who didn't get their Xbox for Christmas.
Exactly. That's what I see as well.
Like that all over.
Why won't you
throwing tantrums about everything? And
why won't you talk to me? Why won't you listen to me? Why won't you Like me. Why won't you like my comment? Why won't you like my dress? What's wrong? Why do you think, don't you think
Why aren't you listening to me?
Right. Which makes being a content creator difficult because I'm aware of that. Now, I don't want to sound like one of those people. And yet at the same time, I can't help but think, why doesn't anyone listen to me? Why do I have 2 people? Why can I not jump any higher than this? And then I think, well, maybe I'm not meant to, obviously.
Well, here's one thing you got to understand too, is the positive vibes in this universe are right now. I know right now, another example, like the positive energies in this universe are drowned out by so much greed and just misunderstanding that nobody wants to hear the truth. They hear the truth and they're like,
That's because if I walked into a room with 5-year-olds, a kindergarten classroom, and I declared that Santa wasn't real and they weren't getting any presents under their tree, they would argue me. They'd argue me.
Even though you're 1000% right.
They'd go straight home and ask their parents. That kid at school said there wasn't any Santa Claus, and their parents would go, shit, that's not true. She doesn't know what she's talking about.
And then you're manipulating your child to not believe anybody that they're talking to, which is crazy. I had a discussion with my wife before this Christmas about, explaining to Caleb, he's 6, that there's no Santa Claus. She said next year we'll do it. But this year what we did was we explained to him, okay, Santa doesn't get all your gifts, bud. He's just going to bring one. Mommy and Daddy got to get the others. But next year we're going to have to, during this year, we're going to have to explain to him somehow that Santa's not real. It's just, and this whole time we lied to our kids. It's like, how do you get that trust back?
I'll ease your suffering on this one. Hang on. There is nothing wrong with allowing your child to believe in something magical for as long as possible. And I mean child. That doesn't mean you can have your older child believing in magic, but there's a very small window that the imagination is even open to them. And in my opinion,
unicorn,
there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I think that's part of the reason why everybody's acting so crazy, is that for too long we haven't allowed magic to exist. Not in these ways. We've asked our kids to grow up too fast and do things that they're not ready for.
Well, we've asked them to marry a church, for example.
Okay.
Well, at that age, that's what we have done. When you see the rituals that they perform for churches.
Rituals. Isn't that amazing what you just said there, Ulick? What churches do is create rituals. That's the weirdest thing to me.
Well, it's the imagination, playing on the child's imagination. Well, again, I think that's what they've done.
The rituals.
Well, if you know what they're thinking at that age, and theoretically put that in, and it'll be ingrained into them for the rest of their days.
They're acting out. They're playing out a scene.
So it'll be in them for the rest of their life. I just thought, not being part of any of these rituals, I was actually one, I think, or 2 of them I don't think I made my confirmation and my communion. But to me, it was, you know what that was for me? When I realized the second one, I didn't realize the first one. But the second one, I seen it as an opportunity to make money.
Right.
It was a complete business. For what it was. I can go
all the other boys get money on their confirmation. I'll do it.
Well, that's what I was told. It's a day you go and everyone gives you money. I'm not. It's not. The ritual I did. It was pressure on me father. What I seen was pressure on my father to go and get a suit or whatever for me to be like everyone else. You know what I mean? Money was.
Do you think a lot of that, and you're talking about Catholicism, right? Catholic. Yeah. Do you think a lot of that in Catholicism is a way to upbring people in the church and have control over them, to be like, oh, okay, well, see, look, you're a confirmed person now. You have to live this way. You have to live this way under the church's guidance. And it's kind of like an initiation into a cult in childhood. You have to get them early or else we're never going to get them.
Well, exactly. But less so now than it used to be. Like I say, I can see it so much now with Joni, that's what I say when I can see what she brings to the table when she's saying about Ireland, for example, has gone along with that. I can see it. The church and state were one of one when it was organised, right? And now they've had to, because what you're saying, the religion, it doesn't work on the youth of today as it would have now, because we have all this social media and all this thing where it's in your face. It's not in the classroom you're getting it. It's you know what I mean? That's what I see when you're talking. We grew up as that nation, what you were talking. We were brought along. We were ridden along with that, riding along exactly as what you were saying.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, back then too, you had to show people books. You couldn't just show them videos on your phone of this, that, or the third. You had to actually do some work back in the day. Like now, it's just pop on your phone, Google what you want to look into, and watch
That's
this
a good point.
or that guy's version.
So it used to be my imagination. Ask me why it's dark at night. And I came up with a story of why I thought it might be dark at night. And now instead I go and Google says it's dark at night because there's a moon and there's a man on the moon. Its name is NASA. And I believe that. I don't think for myself.
Well, see, this is where your religion and that come in now to when
the sun isn't reflecting off the moon, and that's
when your moral code is put into you then, right? I think it doesn't matter. We all know the difference. Everyone knows the difference between fucking wrong and right. You know
Not
what I mean?
At first, it takes us a while to get
I'm saying as an adult, fucking
right, an adult should.
You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. Like I trust people to know the difference between fucking wrong and right. And when I hear that these people actually don't even know now, the people that I'm trusting, say government, for example, they don't know what the difference between a man and a woman is, a female and a fucking male is. Something as simple as that, as basic as that kids now are going to have an argument about that. You know what I mean? That's going to be now a big fucking nip that in the bud straight away. You know what I mean? That's complete no. Where did that? That's what I'm saying. That's the type of thing that's being brought in instead.
Do you think that us as parents, like me now, as a parent of having younger kids under the age of 18, I have two that are still under the age of 18. Do you think that it's a problem that we teach our kids what we know, our knowledge, and we try to teach them what we know, and then they go out in their childhood areas of school or whatever, and then they're taught something else? So there's it's almost like a conflict of raising. Like the schools teach one thing, your family teaches another, the kid grows up not knowing what to believe and then comes into their own understanding of whatever. I can't fathom, I can't even picture like what my parents taught and what school taught and how that, you know what I mean? When I became 18, moved out of my parents' house, I started noticing things differently, like things my parents said were wrong, things the school said were wrong. Now I have to have my own understanding. It's crazy that we go like childhood is so. I love when Joni talks about it because a lot of childhood to me is misunderstood. As everything that people have experienced is factual, because it's not. You don't understand childhood until you get older.
Yeah, but if you can see the way as humans we're going along in the same cycle. Without there's no driver.
Right.
We are being just, you know what I mean? It's just being driven itself. And we have no peers. There is no, we're just going along and saying, no, it's their fault. It's their, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's a system that's broken and it's wrong. Like, I mean, you're talking about computers there.
Well, we're not broken. The system's broken. We're not broken. The system that has taught us.
It wasn't broken. It worked perfectly. What are you talking about broken? That was genius how I pulled that off. Come on.
Yeah.
How did it me wrong?
Yeah.
The devil inside says.
We fell into the trap. No, I'm not saying, but humanity's fell into the fucking trap of We took the easy fucking route all the time.
Yeah, we listened to one guy.
The fucking trap. But you know, fell completely into AI and never thought of, well, these greedy bastards, they're going to squeeze you fucking dry for everything you have.
Oh,
and they will make you sick. They will do every fucking, if you want that, this is what's going to cost you.
That's what it costs you.
And that's basically what you're telling children. Well, if you just want that, you just want millions and billions of you. Well, here's what it's going to get greedy. It's going to get messy. And
but the Bible tells you that. It tells you it's going to be messy. It's going to be a bit ugly for a minute. We have zombie movies to tell us that.
It'll be men after men, state after state, mother after child, child after father. You know, it's just there's going to be so much fighting and
we have that now, though.
Yeah,
and
that's why I think that we're getting closer and closer, because in my lifetime, I haven't seen so much separate. And I live in America, so I can't really speak for everywhere. I can say that I've seen things in other countries going the same way, but I know for our country as a fact that things are going south and people are fucking.
But let's keep in mind that is adolescent behavior. In adolescence, daughters turn against their mothers, fathers turn against their sons against their fathers, brothers turn against brothers. This is adolescence. This behavior of adolescence.
I get it.
Like I said, the 12-year-old kid it's like that 12-year-old kid that didn't get what they wanted, you know, and that's how the world's acting right now. We're that 12-year-old kid that didn't get what we wanted for Christmas.
That is the meaning of life. That's what I'm saying. It's happening on a macro level now.
Yeah,
but eventually we go back to mom.
Eventually.
And eventually we go back to dad.
How many more generations is that going to take, though?
What I think is hell is being described as. That's why I think they use these terms. Hell is that period where you're stuck.
Well, if you think about it, in Revelations, that time of hell that they talk about in Revelations, where, you know, the world turns into complete chaos for, what was it, 7 years or 7,000 years or whatever it is, maybe that's the time we're going through now. Maybe we are in that current hell state and we're just perpetuating it.
Adolescence. That adolescence feels like hell. That's what you think's going on. 1 minute, my friend was here. Next minute, he's banging my girlfriend. What is that?
They're giving us blockers, though.
Well, they want to stunt you.
They are definitely keeping us.
They want to keep you stupid, poisoned, dumb. They don't want you.
If you can actually Google and look up the patents in the world, you can look up the patents for like energy and energy manipulation and frequency manipulation and all these patents that the U.S. government and European governments have. These patents they have of mind control and certain manipulations of weather, manipulations of this, manipulations of health. They have patents on these things, these devices, these ways of doing things. So
they have to just keep on thinking of new ways of squeezing fucking it out of you without us realizing what's going on. And each time they've been at it ever since. Like you look at McAlpine. Does that name ring a bell to you? And medicine.
McAlpine?
Yeah. These people, like, they've been doing it from the 30s and 40s. And, you know what I mean? They're one, 2, 3 generations ahead of, you know what I mean? Making you sick. And then coming up at a hospital for it then.
Right.
You know, we own it. Scottish Rite here, for example.
There you go.
Scottish Rite to me, what does that mean?
It's a children's hospital for kids with cancer.
The last thing I would ever think of the Scottish Rite when I'm living in that part of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Scottish Rite means to me something completely different. And when I came here and I said, what's that? You said that's a hospital.
For cancer
babies
with rare
Now I see.
diseases.
Now I see Ronald McDonald in a different fucking light when I see his. You know what I mean? I see where they get the idea from.
Right.
You know, I see the way it works. You say walk backwards.
Ronald McDonald in himself poisoning tons of children.
But you say look.
And then come up with the Ronald McDonald House to cure them from the food we're poisoning you from.
But it's not. You see Ronald McDonald now, but did you see Scottish Rite?
Right.
1,000 years ago.
Right.
No, and that was the same thing then.
Yeah.
So that was basically the same thing then, Ulick, right? Just a different generation.
Of course.
An idea.
It's generational warfare always. It's always, see, that's how they keep you from saying it. If I spread it out far enough, you don't notice. I poisoned your grandma, therefore I poisoned you. It wasn't you. It was her I was after. I did her, therefore I did you.
Well,
right. You can go ahead and blame what's going on now, but you can't really blame what's going on now because it was done then.
I didn't own the business then. It was
Yeah,
owned by someone else.
Who owned the grain silos in fucking I always was told that in school when I was growing up. That's what the Egyptians were about.
I'm post
they had all the foods
right?
there. Well, during your bad times, it was them guys who had all the foreknowledge of keeping the grains and all whatever to keep us during them. So it made sense, didn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm actually head of the religion as well as the main fucking man with all the silos of grain. So it's simple. They've worked that along and kept that fucking going and different fucking things ever since. It's simps. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We just think we're cleverer all the time. No, they're not doing that, those. But it's what they're making that they've got rid of one of the classes in society. And there's just I can see only two now. Instead, there used to be three. Sort of, there was a middle class and bottom class and your elites. They've rubbed out the fucking middle class now.
Oh, rubbed them right out.
You know what I mean? So where do they
start with?
You're either in the hierarchy or
they
you're
were
not.
Penciled in.
They
were
penciled
in.
But
they were never permanent.
Well, that was like that prick that was going down the prefect going around fucking telling you you get your homework done or you walking around the fucking.
Right.
They were never needed.
Mm-hmm.
They were just there to show you that there is arseholes that can be used. Or I want to be like you.
Right.
Well, the education department was created by Rockefellers, anyways. And the education department was created to make workers, not free thinkers. I think universities were around before. I think higher education, universities and colleges were around before elementary and middle and high school.
They called them other things. They called them knighthoods. They called them seminaries. They called them being a prince or a prince.
Monasteries.
Monastery. Right. That's where you got your higher education back in the day. And then they said, hey, listen, these higher education, when we send these people somewhere, they're getting their own ideas and they might.
No, they're not. They created education system because when they sent these people off, it worked. It worked on them. They believed whatever they were told, and they went back and told exactly what they regurgitated. And so it worked. And therefore now everyone
Now let's create buildings where we can teach this to everybody.
Creative.
You're welcome, everybody, says the devil.
We've created education. We've created and catered your education for you because we know it all. But yeah, even the ones that created education to teach it didn't know it all. Still don't know it all.
Still a very normal thing for us to do to each other.
Well, we are doing it, but we keep on doing it. We keep on, but it's different forms of.
That's because nobody knows they're going to be 9 next year. So when they start acting like a 9-year-old, they hadn't put it together.
True.
I was 8 last year.
True.
So that means my behavior last year, I'm going to be doing all the things a 9-year-old. Nobody's catching the pulse in time.
This is what we're saying. As you get older, you realize that that's the only fucking way you can realize that.
Right.
Well, unless you hear, you don't hear me saying that enough. That person has an old head and young shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But they
Wise
still have
beyond their years, or an old soul, or something.
Still have
old soul trapped in a baby's body.
They have a comprehension of what you're talking about. That's what
You want to hear something that's amazing too, is if you look into Revelations too, is that a lot of things are in the Bible period are talked about out of the mouths of babes. So out of the mouth of children, you will hear more truth than you will out of the mouth of adults.
Well,
That's
it's also
scary.
refers to the fact that it was written when humans were in their baby stage.
Right. And that's what's scary, because we're in that stage.
So we're listening to babies describe the world to other babies. That's what the Bible is.
Well, it was written for, it wasn't written for. Right? Remember what I keep on telling you, what they keep on telling you. That's the George, the George, whatever Bible you're reading.
King James.
King James. Well, whatever.
George. He's like George. Fuck, whatever that dude's name was.
Yeah, King Sausage Fingers at the moment. You'll be getting
First boy I've ever crushed on's name was George.
You never heard of King Sausage Fingers? There's King Leo the Lion. Well, no, what was your man Longshank? You've heard of Longshank?
Longshank, yeah.
Yeah, well, what's wrong with Sausage Fingers?
Fair.
Yeah.
Well, keep going.
Well, what?
What were you saying about Lord Sausage Fingers?
I forget now.
Okay.
Fuck.
But I'll say that though, that is what we have to read these ancient texts from the mind of a child. That's how you're going to unlock what it's telling you.
Oh,
And
you're talking about King Charles III. Sorry. I just Googled it. I was like, who the fuck? That's why he doesn't show his hands in pictures, because he's got sausage fingers.
Right.
No.
It's his hidden hand.
They're little willies.
Those fingers. There's
They're
calluses.
from the children.
It's like a necklace.
You were saying.
Oh, that list comes out today, by the way.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Exactly. What's going
A
to
name. One person's name has been released. Pin it all on Cappy.
It's so funny. It's so funny that they're doing that. Like, I feel like it's all like we've talked about before. It's just a big play, just a big skit being played out in front of us. I knew this was coming. This year they needed something to get the people riled up and going. They need to exacerbate. They need to get the flow going. They need to turn on the faucet a little bit more. So they're going to release the list, and then we're going to see these names, and then people are going to be like, "Oh my god!"
What was the last one they did with Trump before he was coming in? Come on, get it. Come on, Scotty.
I don't follow Trump. What did he do?
Well, no. The promises was we're going
to eliminate the deep state. Oh, we're going to get rid of the pedophiles.
JFK papers he was going to release.
Oh yeah.
He got me a Coke machine in my cafeteria.
He couldn't redact that. Why? Because they wouldn't let him.
Right. But he got voted on it, and that's exactly that's exactly what class president gets voted on. The promise of putting a Coke machine in the cafeteria, knowing all along that he's never going to be able to do that. So the school board isn't going to let it, but he'll still go and.
So at the moment now, there's all the conspiracy theorists that are waiting for. He's going to release papers on JFK. Here we go. Now he's going to make fucking Epstein. But the thing about Epstein is, there's not one person in prison for anything other than Ghislaine Maxwell, and she's done nothing.
Because without any without any perpetrators.
Why is she in prison even?
There's no victims. She's not in prison anyway.
Well, I mean,
she's played her role. She's living in an underground bunker next door to Russell Brand.
We're meant to believe she's in
next door to Russell Brand. Russell Brand goes over and gets blowies every Friday.
He does. I'm telling you, I don't believe half these people are up here already. And when they're telling me when 12 billionaires come out in 2023 and say that they're beginning construction on, that means they finished it. They've gone downstairs and you're not seeing them anymore. You're seeing their fake AI Triangle Man version of them.
Anybody that watches videos now of Joe Biden and videos of Joe Biden even before Trump's presidency, like when he was vice president, I don't give a fuck who you are and if that's 12 years or not. That's a big motherfucking difference in a man. So It doesn't look like the same
I'm
guy.
interested about this series I've started. I had to turn it off because I want to be able to actually sit down and watch that. That was an interesting
Which
thing. The Prisoner, the one I'd never seen it because it's an English film or series.
Uh-huh.
I
I never watched it.
But you remembered
I
it
remember it, yeah.
being on TV, 1968, I think it was, about a man who wakes up in a utopia type experience, but he's like CIA. And what I could gather by the second episode is that they all are in some way some type of spy or some type of something living in this, and they're not allowed to talk about it. Some giant bubble comes around and smashes them in the face a few times. It's very keep them in line. Why use a giant bubble? Why a bubble that comes and attacks you when you misbehave? You know what I mean? Like all kinds of things started swelling in my mind. It's a reminder
meant to be a bubble to give you you know the way something annoys you in your head and it's just there to annoy you.
Yeah, because he even says, has anyone escaped? And the girl says, yeah, lots of people have. And he goes, well, what's happened to them? She says, they all come back. Nobody dies. You can try to escape all you want. They just bring you back. You're not dead. They don't kill you. Oh, what? So now I'm curious what we're talking about. He stole an airplane. He's flying above, looking down. It's a lot of symbolism in there.
The famous thing out of
I want
that
to see it.
Well, look, down the years was, I'm not a number, I'm a man.
That's it. I'm not a number, I'm a man. He says. I saw that.
So that's
scene.
always been.
You want to hear something crazy?
Interesting, yeah.
Sorry, this is a little off topic, but I just noticed this thing popped up. I get the news thing that pops up every once in a while. I didn't realize today is National Science Fiction Day, and the title of this is Journey to the Stars, Observing National Science Fiction Day. That's Journey to the Stars is science fiction now?
How many years old is this day? I was old by the day, so how long has it been around? Is this the third annual, the 10th year it's been running? We don't know.
It's going for the last 300 years.
New Year's the third, right? The third.
It's
funny. It's just funny that the way they do things, the way they throw it out there in your face.
Well, without science fiction writers, we'd be fucked. TV would be gone straight away. Hollywood, all that shit would be gone. What would they?
If there were no writers, there'd be nothing.
That's what
we've said this before, and I think Will A.B. was the
had problems.
I think I recall Will A.B. being the first one to say it. Possibly Joni. It was either Joni or Will A.B. was the first one to say this. But is life mimicking art, or is art mimicking life?
I'm sure that I say things like that, but I'm sure you can give that to your friend.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm just saying, I get that. I might use different terms. I asked that the other day. Is the Cowboys and Indians mimicking, are kids acting out Cowboys and Indians? Or was the stage of Cowboys and Indians a normal development stage and we acted out on mass before we acted it out on middle? Do you see which came first here? We assumed that we were copying. You were playing Cowboys and Indians and you were copying history. What if in reality, history was the first time you naturally did it, which technically it would be if we have it. It would have been a natural developmental stage for us, Cowboys and Indians. The ideas of Westerns, I'm just using that term. Right. So when we mimicked them, when you were little boys, you weren't. You first mimicked it already. Your ancestors did. We did as humans. We first mimicked Cowboys and Indians. We did. We first mimicked kings and queens and princesses. We did that first as a collective before we started doing it as an individual.
It was an actual lifestyle thing before it was
exactly a developmental stage. We would have done no matter what. I would have naturally done these things. It would have naturally set up my life to be this way. It would have naturally played King of the Hill. That's not a game because you were taught that because you were mimicking the kings and queens of old. You're playing that because it's a normal stage that you go through where you play out and act out these ideas. On a mass level, you would be literally acting them out as opposed to playing them in the yard for a small glimmer of 6 months of your life. We're talking about an entire collective on a mass scale.
So you saying
macro scale, playing it out for 600 years.
Yeah, well, that's like
years.
then Santa Claus. Let's go back to Santa Claus.
Okay.
Someone believes that they're a queen.
Mm-hmm.
Someone keeps on you're the princess and you're going to be queen when you're 12.
You're going to save the world someday.
And you keep them in that. Is that not what they've done?
Mm-hmm. You're in charge of all these people here. I've left them in charge of you. It's your responsibility. Be a leader, not a follower, as what business people tell their children.
And that's what they all end up being, is followers anyway of something.
Well, they don't realize that.
Most of them go on. Most of them don't go on to lead their own ways. They go on to just go along with what's been going along. Perpetuation.
But we have. I know. You see, this is where I go.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with that. Everything was going all right, and then we just got fucking. Well, we let ourselves get ripped off by someone. Got into that cog and says, "Well, I can manipulate fucking that." See all them good establishments, like.
Okay.
Well, there's a lot of them like education and all that, but they've been fucking taken over by being
manipulated.
Yeah, well, instead of giving us what we need, like reading, writing, and arithmetic. Yeah. Someone told me they took out art out of school now.
That is the R. A-R-T-H.
So there's certain schools around here. There's certain schools around here that took out the art 100%. Utica hasn't yet. Our school district hasn't yet. And I'm going to tell you, it's really funny. The only reason they haven't taken it out yet is because Munson Williams Proctor Arts Institute here in Utica, it's a prestigious art institute. It's pretty small, but it's prestigious. But anyways, they do a lot of the funding for the Utica City Arts program and shit. They keep it going.
The rich people do like their art.
Yeah, that's the thing. The Munson Williams Proctor Institute, that's fucking guap. That is probably, other than the state building that we have here in this city, that building right there and that property probably has the most cameras.
How long is it there?
It's been there for, hold on, don't want to be an act. How long has Munson Williams been in Utica? 1919.
Is that all?
Munson Williams Proctor Arts Institute. Updated this. It was updated in 2023. They just changed the name this past year, and it's due to its 10. The reason they shortened it up, and it's because of its 10-syllable hyphenated word. Like, come on. Okay. But it's been a prestigious place for 1919. I believe the Munson family was actually they're from Europe, France to be exact.
Right. Fred Munson and his family, yeah?
Fred Munson and his family.
Is it Munson?
Munson, yep. Monson.
Oh, Munson. Mm. No, not one I'm familiar with.
No.
No, but that's like arts being taken out of the schools is one of those I almost called it homos and queers. Home economics.
Right.
They took that out of class. The certificate programs. Do you remember in high school they'd give you like a little class on how to do like basic electricity or something, and then they'd give you a little thing like, hey,
they didn't need you anymore. They didn't need workers like that anymore. We need guys in the tech world. We need people that are going to become nurses. We didn't need that. It was about to be replaced by robots. So there's no
TV
reason.
screen. Yeah, well, that's all.
That's something I was talking to my wife and her sister about at Christmas was like the doctor shows you see on TV all the time. Do you remember an influx of girls, females, and males wanting to become nurses and doctors back in like the early 2000s to 2010? They all wanted to be nurses and doctors because they saw it on TV. You know, I want to be that guy on TV. I want to be that girl, that nurse that's banging the doctor. And I mean, so you've seen an influx of that. It's very funny that you see that manipulation from TV for people to go live their lives that way.
It's the same with airlines back in the 50s and 60s to make them look sexy, very glamorous. These They made
They were?
Well, that's what I say. They were almost like Miss World.
I had a friend who was a stewardess for Delta back then, and she had stories of.
Well, that's
you know, it was that was a career. That was highly respected.
That was a life career, yeah.
For on little girls' imaginations all across the world, not just, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I remember actually a sister of mine coming out with a mad statement one day. She wanted to be an underground air hostess.
Okay.
That's how much the imagination plays on you. I'm saying underground air hostess. What's that mean?
Is that like the ones on the Epstein flights?
When she got there, yeah. Now for the casting couch for our next.
You said casting couch. That's fucking hilarious.
Well,
and I was talking about that too. Like this generation, we're in a sick, sad generation. Like 90% of teens, 18 to 25 right now, females, 80% of them have an OnlyFans account, or have had an OnlyFans account, or have sent a nude photo, or have their porno or something.
Yeah, but 1 out of 4 girls were raped of my generation. 1 out of 4 of us had been raped in some way.
Right, but now it's not even that way. Now it's just willing.
Exactly. So now you're going to tell me later you were a victim? Get the fuck out of here.
Right.
Of course we will. We're going to have a Me Too movement, just like we did before, for all these girls that were tricked in the, show me your tatas on spring break. For Girls
Gone Wild started it all. I blame the late 90s.
Girls Gone Wild. That's a big dot right there. That was a really big.
That was a turning point.
Of what girls would be willing to do when they thought no one would see. Just a regular girl, just your captain of the cheerleading team.
If you look at it, that's a turning point too, because that's when they started indoctrinating teenagers to do that shit. Because back in the day when I was a child, you didn't see teenagers. My sister wasn't going out doing that shit. She was a teenager. She wasn't going out. She was at home listening to New Kids on the Block, different shit. Right. But now, yep. Yeah. Oh, look at all these teens. Now they're allowing teens to do it. And then it just got younger and younger. Look at the Disney Channel. Like, it's sad. I was watching Mackenzie grow up, and she was watching Disney Channel. She'd watch like shows like iCarly. Now, I'm not saying nothing horrible about that show or them actors, but when they're portraying 8, 9, 10-year-olds kissing and holding hands and having boyfriends and talking about love and all this, now you're pushing it down on a younger generation.
You are. And I often wonder that too. Why does that have to be why does every Disney movie have to be a coming of age movie? Why can't just one be about a kid on an adventure? Why do they all have to be some type of coming of age, growing into your adolescent love story of Cinderella? I ask myself the same thing. And even in Toy Story doesn't have that element to it, except it does, because it shows Woody and Little Bo Peep. It still throws it in there, serves no purpose whatsoever, except it makes sure that there's one moment that a kid sees something that's going to be an innuendo to sex. And it's in every movie now, every kid's movie. But look at Barbie. That whole movie was saturated with it. And how can anybody say what wasn't made for kids? Get the fuck out of here.
Look at that.
So Peter Pan was the same way. Peter Pan, in all reality, the conspiracy is that Captain Hook was actually the hero of the movie. He was the good guy, and Peter Pan was the bad guy. Peter Pan would take kids off to Neverland, and Captain Hook was trying to release them from Neverland. He wanted to kill Peter Pan. But that's the conspiracy, you know what I mean? Like, there's scenes in that movie that can be depicted as,
that's the movie, not the book.
Right. The movie is different than the book, and that's where it comes into play. Nobody's reading the fucking books.
I read the book. Yes, you look. Oh, I thought you had something you were going to say. Hey, the book's a coming of age too. it's an actual interesting look at young boys that are caught in the between thinking girls have cooties and yet somehow still unsure of why they get excited.
At 12 years old, I still thought girls were kind of gross, and I wasn't really interested. I mean, unfortunately, I don't know how to.
Now, do you see? That's perfect what you're saying. I'm talking about the meaning of life here. Now, do you see why women were seen as less than for such a very long time? Girls have cooties, and this is why we don't like. So, as a whole species, we had this idea of girls have cooties for a while. Do you see how we're changing that now? Suddenly, it's starting to change for us, and sex is big right now.
Yeah,
girls don't have cooties. Girls are girls. The whole world is about girls. Very interesting.
The thing about it is they've tried to equalize men and women, and no matter, and I get a lot of flack for this statement, but men and women aren't equal. We never have been. We never will be.
You won't get flack in this
hate to say
I
it,
agree.
but yeah, we're built differently for a reason.
Hey, I don't want to take out the trash. All right, I am really fine. I can, but I don't want to.
Right,
so,
you could, but there's a man that can do it for you. So why?
That's silly. I'm okay with these things.
Yeah.
But that's just the world being confused about what's happening. It's a misunderstanding of a developmental thing. And as you're growing, you don't know why these things are happening until you get much older. And typically when you have your own kids and then you go, oh, now I know why I was like that. When your mom, typically you'll be telling your mom, my son did this. And your mom will say, you did the same thing, Matt.
Yep. Oh my God.
Why?
I used to hate that shit.
Circle, circle, dot, dot.
Now I got my cootie shot.
I remember that.
What's that?
There was this saying when we were little. I don't know if you had it, but we would say, so if you're playing with a girl, and I only know this saying because I'm the girl that boys were playing with. And they would go over to each other and go, circle, circle, dot, dot. Now you have your cootie shot. And that meant they could play with me now because they were immune to my cooties. Do you see
immune to the cooties.
I had the cooties. Boys had cooties too, but I wanted to play with the boys. So girls didn't do circles. The girls didn't play with boys. So they didn't inoculate themselves. Boys would play with girls. They would inoculate themselves.
Caleb.
Typically always boys that did that little saying.
Wow.
And they would do it to each other and then they could play with me. And I'm talking 5, 6, 7 years old. Yeah, I mean, you outgrew it after a bit, but it was there for a bit.
You even knew inoculation.
Of course.
Wow.
She's a measles. You can catch something from her.
I wouldn't even.
I mean, that wouldn't have been the case though another 100
years. See that manipulation? You see that manipulation they use for further on down the road? You see how they use that for further manipulation down the road? Girls got cooties, boys are made out of puppy dog tails and dirt or whatever. And, further on down the road, they're like, wait, there's this thing out in the universe that's called, it has a C beginning. I don't want to say the word, but we have this thing and everybody's got to take a shot or else you're going to get the cootie.
But you'd circle your arm 2 times as if it was a ritual. So the spot that you would get a shot.
Yeah.
And you know how the doctors would do this? That was our doing that. Circle, circle, as if you're putting the tourniquet on your arm and then jab your friend right in the spot. That was this. Now, I didn't know.
I'm just wondering. That was us
kids. That's a normal thing.
Sure
See how smart humans are?
Gave us a short at some stage. And you know what I mean? But we didn't make a game up out of it afterwards.
But that was a short-lived thing. That was something that only was in your early elementary. When you think girls do have cooties, you grow out of that by your 9 years old, 10 years old.
It isn't in my memory, I'm sure. We went through the same shit when we were getting it as well. I'm just saying it was funny. Or was it
Is it a location? Is that what you're saying?
Was it a school? Did the school give you
No, because we didn't grow up. We grew up in this country. And I grew up in totally different decade as him.
Yeah.
And in a totally different part of the country. In fact, I grew up in 3 parts of the country.
And you remember that, Maddie, yeah?
That was a normal thing.
I mean, I remember it, I want to say in my preschool, elementary years. Like, I remember in 2nd grade, transferring schools from one school to another. That's when my parents moved and shit. We moved to another town, not far. But and it was actually the neighboring town we moved to. And I remember the girls the guys saying that you don't want to mess with the girls here in Westmoreland because they all got cooties. I remember that in second grade. I didn't remember it in, you know what I mean? I remember being scared of girls in elementary school.
On an evolutionary perspective. Let's look at what that is on an evolutionary perspective. So let's just, why would it be necessary to the equation that is humans in their development? Why is this something we all do? We all go through a stage in our lives where we think girls have cooties, roughly around 7 years old, whether you live in Ireland or you live in America.
What is a cootie?
It's a germ. It's whatever you would have called it in Ireland.
That's what I'm asking you. What is it?
Well, you would have been about 7 years old and you would have thought girls were gross.
What are cooties?
Girls are gross.
A body louse.
That makes them icky.
A children's term for an imaginary germ said to have infected a person of the opposite sex or someone considered socially undesirable.
Yeah, and you've got a name for that as well.
So what did you guys call it?
I don't know. I can't remember. I wonder, had we got one? Was that
well,
even in our...
I'm going to have to find this
psyche?
out. I assumed this would have been worldwide. Yeah, well, kids do this stage.
The nickname cooties first appeared in slang in 1915. And it was known for people being infested with lice.
Yeah,
so it was seen as a grotesque term. You say that in a way of, ew, you're gross. You're a girl. You're gross. Don't touch me.
Yeah, I just say the way that's evolved.
And that's a 7-year-old behavior, which is interesting now when you think about what happened behind us with the little boy and the age. It's very difficult for kids of the opposite sex to play with each other during that age.
Yeah.
In general, it's difficult. So you have to have just the right makeup for that to take place. And somehow the little term gets said.
Well, I had 3 older sisters, remember, so I couldn't
that's
really.
True.
So I wouldn't have been given anyone
that's
slaps
fair.
in the arm. I'd have been the one getting the slaps in the head, never mind the arm.
Mm-hmm. Well, you would have been the one probably.
Ring a Rosie, you're the one that's dozy.
Punch him in the nose.
And a big kick in the head.
Duck, goose.
No wonder I can't remember. Being kicked out of me.
That's true. So you would have had a different. You're one of those off people. You would have had a different. But now think about a kid that grows in a home with a bunch of brothers.
Yeah.
Right.
And
even in a psychological way, well, first I'll go back to why would that be necessary at age 7? Why would the idea of girls suddenly being gross at age 7 be a necessary part to our evolutionary?
Always gross.
Right, because at 7, as we've already noted, this is an age of separation from mother. So to have something inside us that just makes us somehow separate from the female form, even in this small way, has the ability to help us in that much larger way. Do you see what I'm saying? When we separate from mother, seeing mother now as a girl with cooties and mother has now becomes a different identity. I think that's why we don't do mother too often or female too often, because our ideas of woman is always mother, and mother is not a girl. She's your mom, right? She's not a woman. She's not a sex symbol. She's your mom. You don't want to think about these things. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Woman never has the same image in your mind. Neither does man. Man never has the same image.
In the bedroom, isn't that what you say? But you can't have the two of them.
Right.
That's what you're saying, right? Basically.
Well, but I'm saying girls do the same thing. We never have a clear definition of what a man is.
Yeah.
First, a man is our father.
Yeah.
And then a boy is the little boy in school that's trying to pull your hair. And then it changes to the boy that you want to mac with. And then it changes to the boy you hate because he's a douchebag, cheating piece of shit. And then it's
yo, you only saying that because of personal experience. Now calm down.
Right. I'm just saying that that's an interesting thought. I don't even know if this is true yet, but the idea that we never actually see the sexes in a way outside of what we have at our disposal. And my mom is not a woman or a girl. She's not a female. She's my mom, period. That's what she is. Then the idea of a girl changes yet again.
Is that why the idea of the seventh son
That's
comes into, you know what I mean? You have to
7 generations of 7 sons, 7 cycles of seasons of. That's the Shemitah story.
Well, that type of.
That's just a pattern in fairy tales, but.
Well, you can come along with you can come up with patterns along everything, anyways. I mean, everything's patternized. You can.
Oh, but when it keeps repeating itself, Maddie, like that, when it keeps showing up in our fairy tales and in our folklores and in our stories repeat, that means it's a bigger than just something, you know?
Right. There's more reality to it than falsehoods.
Absolutely. That's why I like finding patterns in movies. They're the easiest place to locate them because then you can start thinking about them on much larger scales.
Well, CFCs.
What's that?
Not CFCs. Well, you heard them gases they were putting up.
Okay.
They were told for during the 80s and that.
Caleb,
they're
Mommy
creating
said get dressed for school.
Right. Those were batting around in the ozone
well,
layer, tearing up.
Yeah.
Stop using hairspray.
Well,
in the 80s, where everybody is the hairstyle is hairspray. I mean, come
smell
on.
of fucking hairspray everywhere.
Right. Did we do it, or were we handed the weapon to shoot ourselves?
Handed the weapon.
Right.
Well, to get you ready.
They knew what would destroy
to get
the
you
ozone
ready.
layer.
Yes, but to give you the example of that's what's been killing us, right?
Right.
But later on down the road, when there's a sick, we're not going to tell you that because it's done it to yourselves.
Right.
But they're going to give you more because that stuff that you're them forever fucking chemicals. If you know that that's going to happen 25 years down the fucking road because you've all been eating that shit for 25 fucking years, but we're not going to tell you that. But you're going to be sick and you won't know why.
Right. You won't know. Well, you won't put it together.
Well, we've been telling you. Well, all we had to do is tell you put a warning. Put a warning on the fucking things.
Well, just like she said with poisoning the grandma first, and then you don't even know what happens because now whatever grandma had, and now we're doing this.
Right. Your funky toe is something your grandmother ate. The reason you have that weird thing on your face or that weird mole there is because, I mean, I don't know if that's true, but that is kind of what's true. You know, it's because your grandma was exposed to some toxin during the war. And when she had a baby, the eggs that were being created
25 years
that
ago,
mutation.
You used to think 25 years ago was
get dressed for school, okay? Hurry up.
9/11 was just one thing to start the war off over in. It was a whole collection of things.
Yeah. Hurry up and get dressed, okay?
Yeah, but that was all for new vaccines. No, you used the contracts for them.
Right.
All of that. We can give you now for the army, by the way, this is what's going on. If you look, what your man said, what was the anthrax letters at the time? If you look at 9/11, that was all tied up with what's going on now. You wouldn't do that. As I said, who's the biggest contractors? Who is their biggest guinea pigs? Who's not allowed to talk? The army.
Oh, back in 2020, you weren't allowed to look up certain doctors, and people were getting told not to, believe this.
What I'm saying to you is, if you can create something 25 years later, right, i.e., cancers and things. And
do you see how this tricks him? The damage is done now. You have the cancer.
I have them there.
I gave you the cancer, everybody.
Well, we're going to use the statistics now of them. Something else that we've given you as well, by the way, all your fucking opium-based drugs that we've moved us into.
Opiate-based drugs, right?
Right. You look at the same thing. You look at the two different. You look at the time that they have started, along with your anthrax letters. And you'll see exactly the same correlation, right?
Well, you know what's crazy is that like, in my generation, when I was born,
when they come up with the idea, Matty, of patents, we don't want to be sharing out patents with anybody. Bad for business, that isn't it? We want to just have the monopoly. We don't want to have anyone to have anything. So what did they do? We don't want shares. We don't want them going up and down, coming to the end of our shares. We want to maximize them at that time. Oh yeah, I'll give you an example. Have a look at helium. Someone asked me, why is helium so expensive at the moment? Do you know why?
Because it's very useful.
No, because someone 25 years ago decided to say, you know what, I have money and I'm going to speculate in 25 years' time, or 26 maybe, it'd be even worth more. I will tell them that
I'll buy it all up and then tell them it's rare.
No, well, I just do something. I'll make a little law or something to say. Right. Simple little things that you don't watch. But if you know, if you're in the fucking know, and you can manipulate these things, why not? Done nothing wrong.
That's why they say to diversify your portfolio. Some things you just invest in and leave it alone.
Am I right?
For decades, if you have to.
They're blaming the war. They're blaming the war in Russia and Ukraine over the crisis.
Right.
If you, and did they tell you that 25 years ago?
When he predicted it.
When you've 25.
You mean after the fall of the Soviet Union, they decided to come up with some plans, and they were like, "Hey, in 25 years, we're gonna fucking start this other war over here."
Well, you can see it. No, when you take off you put on your business glasses and you say, "Right, 25 years, there's going to be a war over there, and we blame that war as well as and." The price of laughing gas is going to go up. How does that? Yeah, I'll watch. It'll be the biggest fucking laugh of the lot. No way. Yeah, way. I'll make it funny.
And there it is.
And there you go. Right. If I told you that 25 years ago, would you believe me?
No.
No. Well, there you go.
That's kind of like the book 1984 or anything in history. People have tried to warn us about that. Even like Joni now. Joni's putting information out there now that's trying to warn future generations of this perpetual thing we're in. And you know, we didn't listen to people. We called them crazy. Tesla was called crazy. And look at we're using all his fucking ideas.
No, right? But is crazy till they're dead.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they was crazy because they needed people to believe he was wrong and mental so they could steal his stuff. If he even exists in that way. I mean, Tesla to me could be just as much of a myth as, you know, what's his face, the Jolly Green Giant, whatever that.
Right.
Paul Bunyan. That's what I think of when I think of Tesla. The way they've sold him to me as if he was.
It's so funny because Paul Bunyan sits. We got a big Paul Bunyan statue. We got a place called Enchanted Forest Water Safari. And Paul Bunyan's like the head statue there.
Right. Right. So he gets sold to me like he's some kind of, you know, and I don't know. I don't know who he was. You know, I also know that Johnny Appleseed was a thief. So, you know, what do I believe about these things? Now that I question everything, I even question Tesla. I question any of that stuff as well now. You know,
is that as far as you can go back in your you know, your mythology here?
What do you mean?
What you said there about the Jolly Green Giant and you know what I mean?
Oh,
like
that's an interesting question, actually.
You know what I mean?
I love talking for people not from America.
The statues too. I did.
Right, because to you that would be like your.
Who's the Jolly Green Giant? Was he the guy on the box of?
He was the green bean guy, but he was
box of corn. Green Giant.
That guy. Yeah.
He was a character in American mythology, I suppose. That's a great way to look at it.
He was a lumberjack. He was a lumberjack, and he had a weenie. He had a large weenie dog.
He was, you know, he's a beloved American, you know, so they made him out to be. We remember that Big Bad John. Remember that song?
big
That
joy.
is Paul Bunyan.
That's our Paul Bunyan myths. Yeah, those are all symbols.
Well, that's all
the
you have,
early,
if you know what I mean.
American and Canadian folklore.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Americas, yeah. We were all together once before we were separate. Yeah, this country or this continent,
Yeah.
I'll say, right. The continent of America.
Well,
or us.
Use the new
Americas.
America. Well, I suppose when you call it America, not
Mercia,
not
New
India.
Mercia.
Yes.
That's what it was originally. You know, all of this when they came over here to all of it, Canada, Antarctic, whatever, all of that stuff.
I'm already going to call it at the end when they all meet up. Well, Mercia went one way, and Prussia went the other way. The two of them disappeared into nothing. They were on the continent at some stage, right? In our grandparents' time. Well, I'm not sure about Mercia, but they disappeared. They vanished as a I suppose a name just. But they were
that's Green Giant from the Vegetables. Paul Bunyan was a different one.
But we have other folklores here. You know,
So
Jesse James. And we have a lot of myths here in our country. I didn't think about him in that way, but Bonnie and Clyde, these are myths of Hatfield and McCoy.
Custer's Last Stand.
Yeah, these are our myths and fables, and these are our Robin Hoods.
That's what I'm saying.
Love it. I never thought of him like that. I think that's fun to think of him in that way now. I have a new love for American folklore, maybe.
Paul Bunyan was folklore for business and strength and vitality.
Is that what it says?
Yep. It was folklore on the trails in the old Western days and stuff. Frontier days, not Western.
They were invincible. They couldn't be killed. He could lift a tree with his bare arms.
In older times, he would have been called Saint Christopher.
Right.
You got a little golden gun, little golden 6-shooter.
Right.
Now you see how it happens. That's simple. That's simple. You're Zeus. That guy met a guy. Here's a story. He could pick up a tree with his bare arms out of the ground, roots and all. Doesn't that sound a lot better than just a really skilled lumberjack? He was very skilled with his axe. Nah. He could uproot that tree. He could morph it into something else with the breath of his.
Well, can I just
with a blow from his lips?
Irish mythology is like that, yeah. The exact same.
Yeah, tell me.
Well, when you see the Hurley stick,
okay,
right? When you see that thing that they hit the ball with,
yeah,
and the mythology of the way that he's playing with a ball and a piece of thing,
right,
on a stick,
and
hitting the ball to the dog.
Uh-huh.
And all that, and it's all and the mythology names, all that, but it's huge and it's fierce, and they fight and they do this, and he picks out a turf of land.
Global
he picks
scale.
out a clump of land, right?
Yes.
And you see it, and they show you on the map. Well, you'll see it on the map behind you of Ireland, right? And you'll see that missing, and he'll point to that lake, that biggest lake.
Yes.
There, and he'll say, "That's it, there. Look."
Like Babe Ruth calling his shot.
And see where it landed. Be halfway between such and such. And that's now the Isle of Man, right? And you look at it and you're saying, wow.
The Isle of Man.
But there's your imagination. To me, I got that. I've seen that.
That didn't really happen.
I've seen that being worked on me, right? It was actually a Catholic fucking priest telling me it, which made it even better because he was doing something he shouldn't have been doing. Because he made me interested in it.
Right.
He wasn't getting me, and he didn't. Not once did
I ever. He wasn't brainwashing you. He was making you see it.
He was letting me use my imagination in that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
With what he had around him, the tools that he had.
Beautiful.
Without indoctrinating me, because it didn't go out there and fucking think I could lift up fucking clumps of land and make islands. You know what I mean? Like that was just your imagination.
Right.
I didn't have to go and fucking collect rosary beads now and say I'm a bad person and fucking, you know what I mean? What other fucking that was different when we got into different classes. But as far as your mythology here, the Green Giant. How did he get here?
Well,
he-
that's he came in with a corporation. He was just inspired by
Oh, we had it before. 33.
DB Cooper. Masshole says.
Who?
Yes, he had a big blue ox. That's right. Paul Bunyan had a big blue ox named Blue, or an ox named Blue.
And his name was Bunyan.
Paul Bunyan.
Bunyan.
Mhm.
Do you know what a bunion is?
On your foot.
I thought it was a blister on your arse, but it's even worse.
DB
Bunions on your
Cooper,
feet,
Joe
yeah.
Down. We should do a stream just on America folklore. Might have to do that just for in the future. You know, because that is interesting to think about
can we
all of
twist
the
it?
stories that just come out of these two, the Americas or the North America. What do I call this place? What is South North America?
Mm-hmm.
Poor Canada doesn't even look at that. You got America and North America. That includes Canada. Like they're a sidekick, like they're Robin to the America's Batman.
If everything goes wrong, you can come over here.
Oh,
if you got
man.
caught putting your pants on your trousers, or your pants outside your trousers.
I was
Don't
always
forget.
told Canadians aren't too fond of Americans, so I never bothered too much with Canada. I always wanted to go there and go skiing and stuff. I think it's beautiful, but I always had the impression that they, like other European countries, really disliked Americans. So
Well,
I don't know who was thinking that the French love it when we come over on senior trips and can't speak to them. I'm sure that's the highlight of their year. That's like spring break in Palm Beach, Florida. They know that it's necessary for their life to live the way they do, but they fucking hate spring break. They hate that time of year. But they'll deal with all the teenagers just so that they can keep their Louvre.
who are you talking about?
Paris and its relation and similarity to Palm Beach.
Who? Paris.
Yeah,
Have you ever
Paris,
been?
France.
Have you ever been?
Of course not.
I have.
I know. And what was your thoughts? Do they like Americans? Or did you even know enough to know?
Well, put it this way. I'll give you what you thought of other people.
Okay.
The one when I did see them, they kept their language more so than
Love
gave it
that.
away.
Yeah, true that.
Well,
Fair to them for that.
were they colder people? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I thought they were.
But do they not have to be in order to keep their language and culture? Do they not almost
Did
have
I
to
think?
be
I'm only assuming that.
more closed? I'm asking
Yeah,
the
I'm only
question.
assuming, yeah.
Because that would be part of the. You can't
Well,
be
they've kept-
unique
they've
and
kept-
allow
they have
yourself
kept-
to be
They've
open to
kept their own
others.
They've kept their own identity. more.
Fair. And that
Right,
makes
right.
them very smart. So to be closed off to others seems normal.
Well, you won't hear these immigrants in France speaking English, will you?
They learn French.
So,
Is that what you're saying?
well,
Yeah. Interesting.
it's a bit.
These are
It's a
all
bit
interesting thoughts. I like to know what other countries. I like those channels that walk around and ask people in London or in Dublin or whatever city they happen to be in what they think of other countries. It's very interesting to hear what people say.
Yeah, it's funny to watch people talk about America and their opinions on America. Coffee and a donut? Oh, for me?
What?
For me, a coffee and a donut? Oh, can I have a kiss too?
It's been a good boy lately.
What did she do?
Oh man, I'm jealous.
I don't know what I did.
What's you? I'm asking her what she doing.
She done right. He forgot.
Exactly.
Quick
So,
amnesia. She just
must want
racked up
something.
a credit card. That's a new dress under that trench coat.
I don't know.
She must want something.
Yeah. Well, I guess we've been going for 3 hours.
Is there cream
now.
in that money? Yeah.
Yes,
Boston
sir.
cream.
Boston cream. You gotta have your Boston
What's
cream.
Boston cream? Tell me.
It's like a pudding, like a vanilla pudding kind of center. has more of a texture like that than like a frosting would. It's more of a pudding.
Well,
very delicious. What he's eating there is literally making my mouth salivate.
Is it?
Like Salvador's dog. Uh-huh.
Could you put a bit of lemon into that now? Or slice into lemon or something?
I don't know with the cream, but definitely a lemon cream donut is also
Yep.
In fact, lemon and Boston are my absolute favorite donuts.
Did you know what's really good are jelly donuts, like powdered jelly donuts?
No, I don't like jelly. I'm not a fan of the jelly donuts so much. Yeah.
A jam donut.
A jam donut where it would have some type of jam inside of it or fruit filling. No, I like the lemon. You know, so yes. Okay. Yes. Well, thanks everybody for hanging out and our profound ideas.
Bulick, love you. Joni, love you. Thank you. Asshole, have a good one. Everybody.
So you should join us, man.
You're welcome to jump up.
I know, we know.
Absolutely.
Cheers,
guys.
Bye, Maddie. So yeah, more just open discussions, open thought discussions on what's the real truth about what's going on in the world, meaning of life. Bye.
Yes, that was our first on this, wasn't it?
Yeah, we'll have more. I enjoyed this.